time, Misha. We're going to let you sit back and relax.
There's the magic damage we were talking about, right? If you were high armor and a favorite of them, the puck. Does that mean
a little bit different, right? Obviously, Misha's like the captain of the team. You absolutely want to be doing this. Just a little bit of extra info. I mean, Nature's Prophet is able to rotate through, right? And happy birthday to him. Because maybe that's okay. His presence, you know. I mean, up against a Dawnbreaker, it's a really solid lineup. I was thinking, this is what I wanted with that turnaround potential, right? Dazzle could do the initial save, but it's what you do after that that's going to be the big turnaround potential. So against a lot of this minus armor, Winter Wyvern, of course, great against physical damage. If you're looking to ball up and just go with a Dawnbreaker, fantastic too. So two really different styles of lineups. I'm wondering if they might be just going a little bit too defensive on LGD's side. I think outside of this Tiny, they don't have the greatest ways to be able to make plays.
Yeah, does OG have ways to make plays? Are you excited about this game?
I'm very excited. I just still don't know who's going to play what.
Yeah, sure.
You guys want to take a guess?
We never find out on this panel, so you know it's been a staple of this. Yeah, sure. You want to take a guess? What? Let me just give me one. Like, what does Amar or BZM play?
I think Amar plays the. So I think Tiger's gonna play Viper.
Okay.
And obviously TA.
So Misha 5 Dawnbreaker.
Misha 5, yeah, Dawnbreaker.
And then Amar 3, and then BZM on the Amar Slaughter and BZM on the puck.
Yep.
Classic BZM puck. That was the hero with his Invoker when he was back on Creep Wave. That's always very exciting to see. Oh, the Viper.
The Viper.
Oh, no. Anyway, what about as we get into this first game? Will LGD's more defensive lineup be able to work? Will this new Dazzle strategy be successful? Or will this scary Viper that takes over the panel take over the lane as well? We're going to have to find out as we go to game number 1 between OG and PSG LGD.
Thank you, Alva. Right, here we are, game 1, OG, a classic for them, right? Lots of brawling, lots of team fight and catch, but LGD with more reset tools than I've ever seen in a Dota game.
It's a lot of healing. It's like, if we talk about their lineup, you have Nature's Prophet deeping back, you have Dazzle with the heal, Song, Winter Wyvern with the curse to the heal. This is going to be a very, very difficult game to just like, because, I mean, if you look at the OG's lineup, they do have explosiveness, they do have what it takes to isolate and bring down the hero, especially with Slaughter and TA. This is a lineup that's going to threaten Roshan at every single stage of the game. I'm a little worried that this Naga Siren pick caught them a bit off guard, because in terms of the AoE control and damage, once Naga Siren gets to like 2-3 items, it's going to be very difficult. But yeah, we can hear the crowd clapping. It's time. OG against PSG LGD on the main stage. This is what we wanted to see. You know, some international Dota, 2 big orgs, 2 big teams playing against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like TI Grand Finals quality of teams and players at this point. As we get ourselves into the first game of this series. What kind of build are we expecting from the Naga Siren? Because she's kind of been in and out of the meta from time to time. We've you know, seen them move away from Diffusal into that kind of Manta Skadi, early scaling. Do we go back to the Diffusal now it's
it's
buffed?
Definitely a good Skadi game we're talking about, especially against the Templar Assassin. So Manta style going to be your farming tool, into Skadi, into one more item. Most likely going to be like Aghanim Scepter to be able to deal with the BKB. Also laning stage. I'm looking at Naga Siren plus Dazzle. So, you know, having this heal bomb, something that has been popular.
With the illusions.
Absolutely. If we talk about like Naga, PL, super potent, a lot of healing coming out, and they wanted to sustain. Taiga's going to be playing Viper, something that he has done before a couple of times. I remember a few games where he like just went full tank mode and went for a Crimson Guard, but also more utility, going for Raid Pact, Force Staff, whatever the team is needed. Yeah, they do have a lot of silences, and as I said, they do have like a bit of a global presence, especially if we talk about like the later stages of the game, Dawnbreaker ulti, Puck showing up, like Templar Assassin potentially getting Aghanim Scepter later on, but still, I think the fights are going to be very difficult. PSG LGD, they are known for good positioning, and now you have like 2 saving supports on top of your core also having a save. Even a toss back, that's also a save.
Yeah, you've got so many layers to that, don't you? You keep looking at this and it develops further and further as you think more about it. If someone gets gone on, they've got Curse to reset, Song to reset, Dazzle with the Grave, of course. We'll see how they do in these lanes, though. Early days, like you were saying, the Naga with the Dazzle, it's physical damage from the Shadow Wave and minus armor from Riptide. So that damage can quickly add up if you're caught unaware as OG, an incredibly strong safe lane. But on OG's side, it's a Slardar Viper, right? They've got aggression and the potential to dominate a lane of their own. Great ways.
It is a lot of healing It is a lot of confusion because Slardar wants to lock onto target. Same goes for Viper. So using these illusions is going to be a bit difficult, I would say, for OG in the laning stage. Also, value from Dawnbreaker. They do have like good ways to reset the fight with Naga Siren ulti. We've seen Wyvern as a counter to Dawnbreaker. You just ulti whoever is getting ulted by Dawnbreaker, and you know you have like a pretty good setup overall.
And there are quite a few counters out there, right? You're talking about the Wyvern against Dawnbreaker, but there's also this Tiny against Puck that we've seen a lot of players not want to pick Puck into Tiny because it is the lane counter and also the mid-game counter with the nuke damage you have.
Yeah, you're always going to be able to threaten kill on Puck with Tiny. They don't have that much lockdown on the other heroes. The other one that Puck is going to be afraid of is Winter Curse. Other than that, he should be okay. I also want to see what item build on Fate Beyond's going to be, but we're talking about the Orchid, which is not that popular, but if they feel like they need more to be able to lock down Puck, they should go for it. Usually we see the Maelstrom into Gleipnir Shard build to be able to scale, and also, I mean, this also a root mechanics are really good against the Puck.
Yeah, more disables, more pushing power, always helpful for you, as we do get 3 bounty runes grabbed up by OG. Tiger there with the follow Alan Cook, Bonkers, one of their managers of OG. We're giving a shout out by Tiger and his team tag.
Oh, yeah.
He's the bald one with a big beard. He's a good lad.
Gotta give a shout out to all the people who are making this happen. And top lane, Jinkyu is gonna be playing Wyvern, known for going extremely greedy. So I want to see what this time around he's going to be going for. Like we're talking about scaling item build most of the time. There's going to be harassment already. Couple of treants, something that Templar Assassin does not deal well in the laning stage. Misha already down to 60% HP.
Yeah, incredibly irritating. And double ranged up against double melee, basically. Templar Assassin, before she gets levels up in Side Blades, is basically a melee hero. In fact, she's worse than a melee hero at level 1. She can barely de-ward up high grounds with her base attack range. It's that bad. And Misha, for now, just contending with treants for the most part, throwing that Celestial Hammer to make sure they aren't chipping away at the TA and giving Yuragi that early space that he needs.
Misha starting with Ring of Protection, understanding that a lot of damage is going to be coming out from Nature's Prophet and the treants. Jinkyu stops the pull.
Very good.
A lot of denies on the mid lane. 4 already on Nothing to Say. 7 and 4 and only 3 and 2 on Puck.
Yeah, I was just looking in there because we know that this Tiny can handle the Puck incredibly well. So it's going to come down to BZM and trying to outmaneuver the Tiny, get those water runes. And did you expect OG to try and help him out? Because Viper not really the best hero to rotate, and Dawnbreaker, is she going to be controlling runes for the Puck as well? Or is this just down to BZM, you're on your own?
Probably we're talking about like 4 minutes to rune rotation. He's going to be the one calling the shots, whether he needs some kind of a help. And also if PSG LGD supports decide to move around, that means that potentially he's not going to be able to pick up one of the water runes. Tiny already has his bottle, and so does BZM. So let's see. They are deciding who goes left, who goes right.
Oh, BZM was right.
BZM was right indeed.
I do get their water runes for themselves. Yeah, very, very laning focus from both teams. All the supports, not the most ideal rotators or gankers. As Tiger looks for the Courier Snipe bot, gonna miss out on it. Trying to play forward and harass back White. But it looks like so far, LGD coming out on top in the regen trade in that Naga Dazzle lane. Slardar doing well with the CS though, 14-2. Naga's 11-0, having a little bit of a struggle, but now we're level 3, we're going to have the potential for the kill threat and aggression from LGD if Viper ever oversteps his bounds.
Slardar going, Amar going for what he's known for, just a casual, 1 Bracer power treads into Mask of Madness. He wants to be able to scale, and we see the power whenever Ame uses his illusions into heal. Why? A little bit low on mana, has 1 mango only to work with, so gotta be a little bit more careful.
I will get a pull off into the Kobold camp. That should leave a couple of creeps to come back towards OG, but this is going to drag the wave back for Ame under his own tower. Give him that safety he requires. And Misha looks like he's going to go deny himself to the tier 2 tower. He's expended all of his resources. Drops the voice line.
But the TP from Fate Beyond.
He comes in. Gets the first blood. He saw that coming. Well-deserved tip. Misha thought he was just going to be absolutely fine to deny himself there.
That's big. Getting solo XP and getting the gold for that kill. He's almost as farmed as Templar Assassin, but a lot of denies. 9 denies on Tiny, 9 denies on Nature's Prophet.
Why is sending Amar back? Tiger really struggling to deal with these illusions, though. Every time Arme pops them out, there's one illusion going to Viper, one on the Slardar, and another couple as he farms the creep wave.
And it gets more difficult as you get levels on Naga Siren, because the cooldown goes down by 5 seconds with each level, and once you have it on level 4, that means you're going to be able to permanently have illusions.
Yeah, and the wave also dragged back by LGD top. Nice cold embrace there, but down the bottom lane, Amar. The poison touch on him. Arme and Y nearly able to bring him down as Misha runs it back from top. It seems LGD having the better end of the stick in terms of controlling the wave in the area they want it to be. They're closer to their towers. They're getting more safe and secure farm. OG not being allowed to be as greedy as they wanted to. As JMR was saying on the panel, right, they are much greedier than the previous iterations of OG. Primarily down to Amar being the position 1, basically, in a lot of these games.
He's one from the off lane, no doubt about it. Taiga.
Oh, nothing to say. Tiger, all dropping very low. Viper is able to create a gap between himself and the Naga illusions.
And
needs Amar's help.
Of these illusions right now, they don't have AoE to deal with that. Yeah, the constant sustain. I also see that Ame is going to go for a Ring of Bassi, so extra mana in the lane, wants to finish off the power treads first, of course.
Yeah, we see it quite a lot, right? You've got this position 1 that wants to spam, you buy the Bassi. We've seen a couple of mid players buy the Falcon Blade as well. I think it was Somnus buying it on the Lina.
On Lina, yeah. I didn't see other heroes, other players going for it, but yeah, he's extremely greedy whenever he plays Lina, because he wants to be able to constantly get those stacks up, you know, have that permanent 7 on Lina. And yeah, both of OG members on bottom lane very low.
Actually, the continual victory for LGD.
Start was really good. Like in terms of CS, Amar's doing pretty good. He has, what, 32 and Naga Siren at 26, but as time goes by, it's just going to get easier for Ame to play the lane.
Man, you keep looking back at that Tiny, though. 45 and 17. Not top of the net worth, because Furion obviously got that first blood, but sitting close to 3,000 net worth as they bring Xingqiu mid, along with a catapult wave. A very early push, 6.5 minutes in from LGD. A cold embrace and the glyph.
Forward. Do I see that correctly? 6 minutes in, forcing a glyph, and nothing to say. Does have invis, but there is sentry placed by Misha.
Well, this is very aggressive, isn't it? What's the plan here for LGD? You're just trying to force OG to react. A toss back. They'll find Tiger. An easy one for them. Steps a little too far forward, and nothing to say will punish that.
Damage was done. Half of the HP on the tower gone. Ame feels safe on the bottom. They cannot kill him. They need to have Puck rotate the bottom lane to be able to kill Ame, but might not even get the kill, because Y is level 4. He does have a point in Shallow Grave, so could potentially buy some extra time. We're talking about the Templar Assassin as well. No stacks being made at the moment. Yuragi gonna stack for himself, potentially, because Triangle is not stacked at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good move by LGD as gonna bash it onto the Naga, but look at that damage coming through from the Wrath of Nature. Y and Xingqiu helping out Ame to pick up a kill, and maybe Misha, TP back home successfully. But it's such a swift move from LGD. They bring 4 mid, they chip away at the tower, but they don't stick around, right? They are immediately back into their lanes, missing out on maybe half a creep wave. On the other side, OG didn't overreact.
Oh, he's gonna
get
pick
tossed.
it up.
He gets the regen rune.
That's a big one. Stealing it from Puck and also having it on Tiny means that you're going to be able to play much more aggressive.
And now Tiger.
Combo on cooldown for a couple of seconds.
The Arctic Burn and the Poison Touch so much slow onto an already sluggish hero. Tier 1 tower now wide open, getting pinged out. OG want to defend this. I don't know if LGD will go all out to try and pressure it.
हेलो शुभम पार्किंग में बैठा हूँ क्या बात कर रहे हो बे क्यों पार्किंग में बैठे हो
Fatebian is not here, but he sent the 3-ins. It's all about these like small plays that you do. Fatebian even gets the last hit. This is going to be really good timing on Orchid for Fatebian.
And he preemptively sent them, right? They were already halfway through their duration when they arrived, so he sent them.
That's called communication, Gary. These are professional e-athletes. So.
Talking.
We heard your comms yesterday.
I'm jungling, I'm pushing.
This is not how the professional teams comms.
I had B-Cop in my lane. I had to say everything 5 times so he would listen.
Siren doesn't have a point in ulti, but nothing to say.
There comes Tiny. Avalanche toss, Fatebian TP's in. The numbers are here. Everybody brought into the mix bottom lane and 2 heroes down. LGD.
I see 5 heroes from PSG LGD here. And look what Jinkyu's doing. He's the one who's using the cold embrace just to have some extra damage, just popping on the tower. Nothing to say, he's not done yet.
He's found Tiger.
And that's another one.
Toss him back across to Arme. The Shadow Wave bomb and a kill on him. 7-0. PSG LGD not mucking around. They came here to dominate, and so far it has been a clinic. Look at this building damage. 0 from the members of OG, tons from the Nature's Prophet and the rest of the squad.
Have a 0 near his name. That's nothing. We don't expect Viper to deal any kind of tower damage unless he picks up the shard, which is going to be tough in this game. Now Siren, she's going to go big. Ame completely free farming in this game, going for the Manta style. Like, I don't see how they're going to be able to kill Naga with all these heal. Most of their damage is physical. We're talking about Templar Assassin Slaughter. Puck does have magical, but Cold Embrace, Dazzle, and also just reset from Song of the Siren.
Yeah.
And also having the Dispel mechanic. We're talking about Mirror Image, Manta style. PSG LGD, they're going to hit a really big timing. And if they are able to steal Roshan from OG, because OG's lineup is really good at taking it, that's going to be huge.
And it often feels you need it with a TA on your team, right? Yeah. You want that first Roshan to secure you another 3-4 minutes of free farm objectives. Get the gold into your TA so she can accelerate faster than her opponents. Well, yeah, the Viper, with no 0, I mean, his building damage is the square root of -1. It's just imaginary. BZM gonna need a lot of outplays in this. We've seen how well he can do on the puck when it comes to these scrappy team fights. And he's gonna need a little bit more time to maneuver on this map though, as it gets smaller and smaller for OG.
OG's not gonna even defend this tower. They are getting the farm, because net worth hasn't changed that much, you know, considering that they have 0 kills, didn't manage to deal any tower damage. Not gonna even say kill it, because 0 damage.
And all the tier 1s are dead.
Yeah, absolutely. They lost every single tier 1 tower, so this opens up the map for PSG LGD, and here's the smoke.
Where are they heading? I mean, who would they ideally like to kill in this situation? Is it the TA, I guess?
It's Puck, I would say.
Okay.
Because Nature's Prophet does have Orchid coming up to him, so Puck is going to be food.
The smoke pops. Amar was up on the high ground, aggressively jungling. They'll find him and then stun him with the avalanche from nothing to say. Slardar caught. And how many, Lacoste? Can you count them again?
1, 2, 3, 4. Ame is in the enemy triangle. He wants to be able to steal some of the farm from Templar Assassin.
But there's really no half measures, right? LGD, every time they move, it is as 3 or 4 or 5. There's not a 2-man rotation. It's not one hero left alone. It's Ohana. Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. They are a tight-knit group.
So far, perfect aim from PSG LGD. Moving to the mid lane, getting the numbers, securing the runes for their Tiny.
And a curse. It's in there onto the 2 supports. Misha being hit down by his Viper, and nothing to say arrives, blows them up. 10-0. Spectacular stuff from LGD. 4-0-4 on the Tiny. What do we say about that? Death's not found?
Yeah. It's looking really rough for OG in this game. They don't have like heroes that can make aggressive moves, because Dawnbreaker as a 5 is much
fantasy
more
points.
like counter-defensive.
No, fantasy points. Oh, yeah, 14. Nature's Prophet right out there at the front.
And Fatebian, after finishing the Orchid, which is going to completely cripple Puck, even Templar Assassin, going for a Witchblade to have some extra overtime damage against the Templar Assassin. I think OG should try to farm up Deso on Templar Assassin. Yuragi's relatively close, needs another 2 minutes of free farming, and then go with the... Because Puck has a Witchblade. Right now there's smoke. They're trying to make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
I don't think I've ever
everywhere.
I don't think I've seen heat map like that, because they're all around the place. Everyone's moving. They're not static.
Like maybe 60 minutes in, but 13 minutes in, he's everywhere. Faith Bian gets the silence onto the Dawn. Jinkyu is nearby as well. Let's see if he can turn this back. It looks like the Prophet will be slain by Yuragi's TA. A nice streak to be grabbed, and the Wyvern's been left alone. And that play style they were talking about by LGD has broken down a little bit. They've spread the map wide, and they weren't all together this time.
Yeah, it's very important to get that kill for the team, because they were sitting at 0. If you look at the top of the screen, like, yeah, it can potentially affect you, so getting a 1 or 2 is pretty big. Nothing to say so far. Pretty much a perfect game. Has a haste rune in the bottle going for the Echo Sabers, so they should, like, they can easily also outnumber OG with the global teleport, Tiny with the haste, and seems like they want to make something done.
Yeah, it's a good point by JJ there, just hovering over the 2 cores of OG. They're both 1-0-1. Neither of the cores have died, so all of these kills from LGD have been on supports or less valuable heroes. As they jump in onto the Slardar, this is a valuable one. Amar will get the crush out. Nothing to say, looking to finish him off, but the Dawnbreaker Solar Guardian arriving, and Amar needed to be cursed up. Dawnbreaker will whack him down though, and Misha's arrived onto the scene to be netted up by the Naga Siren and finished off by the Illusions.
And nothing to say, still not done. Getting
Big
another one
back,
with the haste.
straight into the middle of 4 of them. LGD realizing, right, we can't have these heroes being 2 up top and 2 down bottom. We'll group up again as 405 and show OG what we're made of.
So much aggression from PSG LGD. Every single time they get like another small item, they decide to go in and get another kill. Ame completely free farming on top of the net worth, going Scotty next after finishing the Manta style. Once you get to that Scotty timing, that means that Templar Assassin, like, I don't think she's gonna be able to do much in these fights. I mentioned the Deso timing on Templar Assassin. I think they should try to go and potentially get a kill, turn that into Roche, because it takes you like 20-25 seconds to kill Roche with TA and Slardar plus Deso.
Yeah, you can do it incredibly quickly. Amara looking to finish off his blink. Gets away from the grasp of nothing to say. They assume there's vision around there. LGD just wandering into the darkness though. And Arme deep in his own jungle, sitting in the pocket to farm away. Q and Y turning around on Misha. Getting a D-ward while the Dawnbreaker dies inside the Sprout. Y has his priorities right. Kill the vision before the heroes. Make sure OG didn't have any recourse, no turnaround potential. And nothing to say again. Just jumps straight into the middle of them. Amar tossed back into the Wyvern. Sprout is there as well. And nothing to say is Tiny on the run back. Arme will guard in while they kill the Slardar simply.
There's too much sustain from PSG LGD. They can't go like way too deep, something that Nothing to Say just did, and he knows that he can rely on one of the 2 supports to be able to bail him out, whether we're talking about the Cold Embrace or the Grave.
Yeah, look at that, ridiculous. There was like 8k healing between the Dazzle and the Wyvern. And damage spread very evenly across all 5 of LGD. Amar has yet been able to really stick on a target and get his damage out onto someone.
Well, I heard you saying, Gary, that none of the cores died on side of OG, and I see Amar with 0, 5, and 0.
None of the important ones. No, I was specifically talking about the TA and the puck, the ones they're trying to get a little bit more room. But is this LGD focusing Amar? Like we said, he's kind of the position 1 from the offlane, right?
He is. Every single time Amar is shut down, I feel like OG's having a much tougher game. Nothing to Say was looking for an opening, but could not get it done.
Yeah, he's definitely the driving force of OG, Amar. So good at getting in the thick of things, using his farm very effectively. That's only when he has it. Right now, sat just under 6k net worth, bottom of all the cores. 500 away from Blink, so not too far, but Misha jumped in the mid lane. Sent backwards in towards White. And another kill for LGD, 16-2. Tiger found and netted up. He gets the Tumbler's Toy up towards the high ground, but Arme will chase him to the ends of the earth if need be on a killing spree for the Naga Siren. While Templar Assassin finishes off her ancient camp and runs it back. And while this aggression's happening in the dire triangle, you look at top, tier 2 tower, chipped away at by the Nature's Prophet.
Can we check the tower damage done by the teams? I don't think... we still might be at 0. Yeah.
That's nutty. They've barely crossed the river, haven't they? And this is the Roshan steal.
They go. Yep, stealing Roshan from Templar Assassin, Slardar lineup. It's gonna be good. Like, we might even see PSG LGD go for the high ground push with the first Aegis. Because they're definitely gonna feel comfortable. Naga Siren needs another 600 gold to finish off Scotty. There's way too much sustain on their side. And also the rune control. Nothing to say, pretty much picked up every single rune in this game.
It's been non-stop. He's going to get caught out here though. Sprout is there onto Tiger. Cold Embrace to keep Nothing to Say alive. And they've got the curse, allowing the Tiny to maybe slip away. Oh, he's going up aggressively. He wants to try and finish them off. Blowing up BZM. The Dawnbreaker Solar Guardian comes in, but the Graves on the Tiny now. Nothing to Say. Going for the TP away. He's successful. No, he's cancelled. He wants to fight. They've got the Naga Song. They want to blow up Amar now. One by one. OG will fall with a Cold Embrace as well. They just can't kill anybody. OG are struggling. LGD are dominating.
They managed to completely dominate the laning stage with their heroes, and now you're up to a point where 2 supports plus also having 1 core being able to save people, bail them out of the trouble, and this is what I mentioned, like they're gonna go for the high ground push. And OG just doesn't have what it takes to deal, like they can't even deal with 2 supports. Naga completely untouched. They know that they cannot kill her.
This reminds me of like old OG, where they still had Fly, and they would build up these drafts where they had Io and Dazzle and Huskar, and they'd have Wyvern, multi-layers of support. You go on one that saves the other, and right now, Nothing to Say, he knows he has so much backup. He dives to tier 4 towers. He's able to turn and fight, because he's still got the Shadow Wave, the heal, the Grave, everything on top of him to keep him alive. They've killed Misha. Tiger, he's not going to survive. Naga Siren will dive in behind the barracks. They finish off the buildings, and LGD cruising towards victory at this point. OG will now look towards the Naga Siren, eyes on Army. There's the coil snap. They blow up one. Y is dropped, but the Winter's Curse straight onto Amar. Take the Slardar down as Arme stands his ground, healed up by the Cold Embrace, but this time OG.
Big ulti.
They should be able to find a couple of quick kills, but Uragi, he can't contend with these Naga illusions. Arme, he just 1v3ing them at this point. Nothing to Say will arrive back in, and Tiny punches down the TA. I don't believe this. Arme's still alive.
This might be, they were not able to take down Aegis, and they're going to call it. What a beautiful performance from PSG LGD in game number 1.
21 minutes.
We had a lot of one-sided games this tournament. We're talking about Team Secret against the PSG LGD also being one. But PSG LGD today, they came here to play. Like, literally no mistakes being made. The double duo off saves coming out from 2 supports, and also Ame having a perfect game, Nothing to Say, controlling every single rune for himself. I think OG will need to go for different support duo. They're not going to be allowed to play like as defensive. This position for Viper, not too much impact. They definitely got countered in the laning stage with Naga Siren plus Dazzle. They were not allowed to get the aggression done.
Yeah, I think they're going to go back to the playbook and reconsider that Viper first pick, right? Because it's the flex pick they'd love to shift from 4 to 3. Maybe give it to Amar or Tiger. Could shove it in the mid lane, but didn't look particularly good at this game. And I think you were right, honestly. We talked about that Naga Siren, the answer to OG's aggression. It caught them completely off guard. Yeah, that second phase from LGD was spot on perfect.
They will need to shift things around in game number 2 because this was one-sided. They got dismantled.
Systematic destruction of OG from drafting stage through the laning stage, and stealing that Roshan absolutely helped for them as well.
Also, that first rotation from Fate Beyond, because like Misha did go and try to deny himself. Fate Beyond gets the first blood off to a really good start in the laning stage as well. He was really never threatened. Then he TP's mid. You see 4 heroes of PSG LGD trying to take down the tower. Then Fate Beyond farming on the top lane, sending the Treants to the mid lane just to be able to help out and scout things out where OG members are positioned.
They all click together beautifully, but we can now head back to the panel to think about what OG have to do differently coming into game 2.
Yes, we will be doing a lot of thinking as we look over these highlights brought to you by Aramco. JMR, last panel, you talked about around 16-20, that was their average age, but it turns out it's their average game time.
Oh, nice. You wrote that on the break.
I did.
That's what I saw. You like, oh, what can I say? Well, I would say, boys, welcome to Chinese Dota,
Yes, indeed.
This is what happens,
It's a myth. Chinese Dota is not slow.
If anyone said that in the past, 6 years, you've been wrong, but I think this game is the one to prove that the most. I mean, dead on. I just want you to rave about this. Dazzle, Naga, Winter Wyvern, my man.
Love it. I mean, it's just so many opportunities for the disengage. The lane even is really solid. You were talking about in our little green room, Marvo, that this combination of just the Naga and the Dazzle, right? You're able to get on top of someone with the ensnare. You got 1 point into it, I think at level 4 or 5 on the Naga Siren. Poison Touch, Shadow Wave. Very, very easy to dish out a ton of damage, and it really felt like Amar was not enabled at all. 1-7-0, as we can see. The big issue for mine, even though he's a fantastic player, Tiger felt like he didn't have any impact on the Viper, and that just goes back to the draft. We saw against TSM, OG wanted to flex the Viper a little bit. They wanted it to be the option of the position 3 or the position 4, but they picked it together with a Dragon Knight that doesn't have to be in the off lane. Slardar kind of has to be in the off lane. It's a rare game where you can put it into a position 1 and still have a lot of impact.
Exactly. And PSG figured that out. As you said, the Naga, we talked about the high armor. They also got the good lane of the Tiny versus Puck. It was an interesting bait by OG, right? Forced a Tiny mid. It didn't look like the best Tiny mid game, but that lane went so well. It was difficult to beat as we have the scoreboard by STC. But now it's important to look at the future. Everyone on this panel wants a 3-game series, but one person maybe a little bit more than others. JMR, what does OG do when they're facing a loss? What's the speech that they're given now?
Look, I think when you look at the scoreboard, you cannot really get too jaded because there's sometimes these things don't work out, and then you're like, oh my god, we're all bad. It's like, no, it's just the whole draft was disabled. I think now they have to go back and just think, how can we gain the game?
Right.
How can we bring it to them so they feel the pressure that we just felt? Because we do this to every team. In a way, they did to us what we normally did to other teams, and they maybe have not experienced this Naga with the Dazzle, with the NP. Now, I would like them to be confident about what they pick and hopefully think about, we're going to crush you.
Right.
What is the draft that allows you to crush you?
Who's usually the person on the team who takes the reins for that kind of line of thought?
I think that, look, in all the teams, it's like the conversation, like, oh, I think I felt completely disabled here. I felt like this, and I want not to feel like that,
Sure.
Because Dota, in many points, is a feeling. How does it feel when you're playing it?
Right.
So for us, obviously, my 2K Dota knowledge is not going to allow me to elaborate much. I just want them to feel confident because, you feel the pressure. Now there's a lot of money on the line. You just play LGD. You just experience what LGD does to you because they do it to everybody else. Now what do you do to them,
Yeah.
And on the LGD side, we talked about perhaps some Chinese teams were sometimes lacking versatility in international tournaments. LGD has never been that team, historically speaking. I think we get to see it again. This draft, Enigma Galaxy's last draft in the best of 3, and the first draft of that series, literally all complete different in what they're attempting to do. How do you stop a team that has this many strategies?
You don't. It's as simple as that. I mean,
let them run over you.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
No worries. I mean, you got Faith Beyond and Y, right? TI6, Wings, that was their big thing. You just could not prepare against them. No 2 strats were the same, and it really feels like they're bringing that to the front. I mean, Faith Beyond played the Nature's Prophet. It's nothing like revolutionary that he's doing here, but just the little plays that he was able to make, making sure that he could TP so that you weren't able to, he was actually able to claim the first blood as we get a nice little close-up on the trophy there, what they're playing for in addition to the prize pool. But I think, again, it's going to sound like I'm a little bit of the fanboy of the second pick.
A little bit of a fanboy.
I'm the second pick.
Okay.
Because I think that's where LGD won this draft. They were able to respond to everything that OG had. They had the Naga Siren, which was good against the heavy single target focus that they were able to pick with the last pick of the second phase, and then ending the draft out with a Winter Wyvern against Slardar, who is all physical damage, against a Dawnbreaker that we saw. You just ulti whenever Dawnbreaker is ulting as well. Easy cleanup. You have multiple ways to disengage, start the fights. I was a little worried that they would have to be a little too passive and reactionary, but big kudos to the way that Faith Beyond, as well as Nothing to Say, played. They were playing so aggressively, almost never playing on their side of the map after the laning stage.
Now we might get the COG on the second pick, right? And they get to be the ones that are reactive. And I'm interested now when that happens. Chuvash and Misha, I think they're the... Well, also Amar, right? But they're strategists, Chuvash and Misha. I know in the Stockholm Major, they were a big deal. They were always on Discord on Johan's phone.
Yeah.
How does this process work with the rest of the team? When do they reveal those strats? Does everyone know how the best of 3 is going to go in the beginning?
So
Or
it's really Amar, the one drafting.
is it Amar entirely?
So the whole idea is like they have prepared, and you prepare a lot of things during the scrims and all that. And Amar is the one with the papers, and Amar is the one I think, okay, how you guys feel about this? And I think that him being selecting the heroes and clicking that, it also allows Misha to just be able to communicate. Because you know there is an element of I have to find the hero, where do I click? And Misha is constantly talking. We're doing this, how about we do this, how about we do this? Hey, they're gonna be doing this and they're gonna be doing that. So
I wonder if there's ever been a younger player that's been put into that role, because that is a lot of responsibility to take on. Was he 16?
Yeah, I think he started drafting fully for, was 17, 18?
I think 17,
But still,
18.
like, I don't know Amar's age. I think he's 17 right now.
he drafted on the major as well.
Exactly. Like, it's wild. And I do want to exacerbate this point because I know it seems dumb, like you think, clicking buttons is just so easy, find the hero. But I have talked to so many teams that tell me that it's such a high-pressure situation. You see the timer constantly. You're like, I need to pick the right hero. I mean, we've seen misclicks happening in the big stage before.
In TI.
Yeah, exactly.
I was doing it in the show match. It was stressful.
It is, right? You see the timer, and there's something about visualizing the fact that you're losing time little by little that really affects them. But Amar seems like someone that would be unfazed by that, right?
Yeah, I think also Amar has a really good feeling for the game. He feels, okay, this is how we're going to win, this is how we're going to do it. While Misha can do a little bit more of the, let's say, mad scientist behind him.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I think we can do this and this and this. And Amar, I think it helps clear the communication.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, let's get ready for the break, JMR. I'm sure that Misha will be standing in his pose here, ready.
Commanding pose.
The commanding pose, ready for game 2.
Like, we're going that way.
Commander Misha, can he bring us to a third game, or will LGD show us their prowess as we get into game 2? Before that, though, we will take a small break and come back with the second game of the series.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by how.
Welcome back. We're here ready for Game 2 between OG and PSG LGD, and we've made a slight change to our panel. We decided, you know, it's nice to have experts in teams, but it's also nice to have an expert in Dota in general. Misery, welcome to the panel.
Thank you very much.
In case you guys, for some reason, have been living under a rock, you don't know, Misery, you know, long history of being a player, and also now currently coaching TSM FTX.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So you guys also got to fight against OG. Yeah.
Yep.
It was actually one of the. I mean, all your seeds were like surprisingly close, right? Particularly in the drafts. I think you guys were the ones that were giving most people trouble in your drafts. Never really got outdrafted. What do you feel with OG as a team when you got to play them?
I think OG is a bit predictable in the sense that you can always expect them to pick up Razor, Timbers, or Viper.
Sure.
Right? And everyone bans 2 of the 3. Against us, we kind of did the same as LGD. We banned out Razor and Timbersaw and gave them Viper. Game 1 was really close, and but they managed to still snatch the win in the end, right? I think the problem for OG right now is that they just showed their first pick Viper strategy a little bit against us, right? So LGD has probably been looking at that quite a bit and formulated up kind of a plan against this first pick Viper, and we saw the Naga pick being really strong in this last game. That being said, though, I think the Viper is still good for them, and I think they would pick it again if given the chance. It's just a matter of like maybe mixing up some of the next heroes, right? Like the Slaughter and the TA. Like the problem that game was that they ended up locking themselves quite a bit when they picked the Slaughter. Like kind of not really a flexible hero.
Yep.
Same with TA. It's those 2 heroes gets countered by a lot of the same stuff, like Winter Wyvern, like the Naga Siren in this case, right? And then that leaves Viper kind of on an island where he's like also not really having a place in the game. So I think like if you take last game as an example, I think if you pick the Slaughter, then you cannot pick the TA as well. Then you need to pick the Puck on 17 so that the Naga pick is not as strong, because yeah, their draft is so locked at that point after the 4 first heroes.
I want to ask you how you feel about first pick versus second and Dire versus Radiant. Like, is there any clear advantage that you see having coached not just the NA scene, but also how it works internationally?
I think second pick is probably what most teams favor, just because you have the 2 counter picks. You have the absolute last pick and you have the 18 pick, right? And that's really strong. I think that outweighs what first pick has, which is the 1 counter pick in the first phase, you would say. And as for Radiant Dire, I think Dire has a slight win rate right now, advantage.
Everything except C and SA, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the sides is always kind of hard to judge. Why is this, right? Might be you know, it might be because some of the heroes that are being played right now, it might be like the Roshan is
not as valuable.
It is valuable, but it's maybe harder to take early on. And even if you do take it, it does require a lot of resources to take it. So if the team has a lot of emphasis on taking Roshan, the other team can be like, okay, we just give it away and we farm the map, right? So that's kind of what the Radiant advantage was about for a while, like for a long time, really. But if Roshan is the first Roshan is kind of nerfed, then yeah, it's maybe not as important.
It really does feel like a lot of the decisions that you're making are farming feels like the better option than a lot of other decisions, right? You know, going and stealing away stacks or doing this. It's just splitting up the map, getting not only the net worth, but also an experience lead so that when those team fights happen, you're in a much more advantageous spot. Like, even if one person dies on one side of the map, as long as 2 cores are farming and maybe a support, you're on the winning end of it a lot of the time. Yes,
I also think that speaking of OG, especially, it's like one of the best teams that actually like having 3 cores farming at all times, right?
Right.
They even have a voice line saying like, I don't care, I'm just gonna hit creeps, right?
Yes.
And that is, you know, one of the absolute strengths of this hero, this team.
We get right into the draft. This time, PSG LGD will get rid of the Viper and the Timbersaw because OG gets rid of the Razor, as LGD has first pick, and Chinese teams, they love that first pick Razor.
I think everyone loves first pick Razor. Like, there are so few ways to be able to counter.
100% win rate, though, on Chinese teams, and Secret, which is now an official Chinese team as well, due to the first picking of Razor.
I mean, Zeus is another one of those heroes that provides you that versatility, right? Like, LGD haven't revealed anything with being able to pick this one up, being able to run it. 2, 4, 5, it's totally viable in any of those roles. So I like this opening. Again, it gives a little bit more strength to that 8th pick, the last pick of the first phase. I'm assuming that OG probably went for the second pick this time around because it really felt like they just got crushed in the overall game strategy in game number 1 because of how LGD were able to respond in that draft.
Oh, sorry. I'm curious, Misery. When you talked about the strength of second pick, right? There's still some strength to first pick. For example, Tia, we saw it. There's so many broken heroes that the 8th pick became kind of like crucial. So was first pick. Well, how do you think the 8th pick right now is best utilized in the current meta?
I think the 8th pick can be strong, but it can also kind of be not strong. That sounds maybe a bit redundant, but like in a way, I think first pick is a lot about trying to pick as many flexible heroes as you can to confuse your enemy into not having this valuable 18, valuable 24 pick, right? If the enemy don't really know where your heroes are going, if they have like 4 or 5 flexible heroes, it's very hard to pick 1 or 2 heroes that counters all that, right?
Okay.
Because you can adjust which heroes goes which lane, which heroes core, things like that. So I think first pick is a lot more about maybe confusing your enemy or throwing out a curveball or disguising some of your core heroes with potential supports and so on. A bit like we see with the Viper from OG, right?
Right.
They're able to play it both 4 and 5 and also on MR. So
we haven't seen a game, I believe, at least that I've been covering here on the panel, where when you're picking a support in this 8th pick, it is what wins you the game, right? We've seen some Nyx Assassins, we've seen like even a Crystal Maiden occasionally, and it just feels less impactful, right? Because it's not that, oh, we're going to be able to protect this with the next 3 bans. Clockwork, it isn't really that, but you do get that flexibility still, right? Zeus, like I said before, can play 3 different lanes. Clockwork 2.5, I guess.
Unless you're 9.
Unless you're 9, but I don't think we're going to be seeing Nothing to Say play a mid-Clockwork this game.
I am curious though, because you have been hyping this pick up the whole tournament. Every time they pick Warlock, you go, they need something going with the backlines. You always mention Clockwork, so is that enough to justify this pick?
I think it's good just to be able to disrupt the Clockwork a little bit, but it's not just what you're able to do to them. You're providing a lot of assistance to the Zeus, right? You're disrupting the team fight. You're creating this barrier that Zeus has to play around in addition to the Heavenly Jump. Like, it becomes a lot easier game for the Zeus if you're just able to sit back and freely cast your spells. So I think what OG need to focus on, obviously they've already got the Tiny that can fulfill the role, but they need a way to be able to have vision, but also punish the Zeus on the backlines.
I'm curious about the Warlock pick, because it was a staple of the Chinese teams coming into this tournament, then it quickly adapted to pretty much everybody. What are the current strengths of this pick, and why is it so overwhelmingly strong?
I mean, he's a really strong laner, right? He can pretty much enable any carry, and he's very flexible in terms of what he lanes against. It's pretty hard to counter this hero in lane, and then on top of that, he has like some of the best team fight you can find in Dota, right? So it's a very stable hero. I think it makes sure that you have all the team fight you need in a draft, and like secures your carry, basically. I do like the Clockwork pick, and something you guys didn't mention is the fact that, I mean, with Zeus, it's like the Zeus ult adds that extra damage that makes Clockwork that much stronger and potentially sets him up for a better game.
Even just the Nimbus, right, inside the cogs.
Yeah, that's
a little bit extra.
But also like Clockwork is one of those heroes one of those 4s that does not need any items to be effective, right? His 6 is really strong, but he doesn't need, like for example, Tiny kind of needs a blink dagger when played as a 4, right? But Clock needs no items. And I think we see more of these heroes that has a really strong 6 but doesn't need items, more popular right now. Clock, Earth Spirit, for example, Tusk as well. Even Nyx Assassin, right? Their 6 is really strong and they don't need items to actually make stuff happen on the map. They don't need a downtime to start farming Blink Dagger. Whereas Tiny, I mean, OG is probably going to put Tiny mid, but just like comparing 4s here, like that's why I think Clock is seeing more play now, because there's more emphasis on cores having space to farm. You can't have your support need like, oh, I need 4 minutes, guys, then I'm ready. There's no time for that,
Do you think there's the potential for them to still run the Tiny as a 4 and then pick up something like a Puck for themselves again? BZM plays it really well. Also, you're going to get enabled by that Fatal Bond so heavily, right? Where Puck kind of needs that little bit of extra spike in damage in the early game just to make sure he's having that impact.
Yeah, I mean, it's always possible, right? Like, one of the strengths of Tiny as a pick is obviously the hero is really strong, both mid and 4 too, but it's like the flexibility of the hero is strong, and that's probably why we see it from second pick being good as well in this case.
I'm also curious about how this strategy, these faster supports, do you feel like it's also been an answer to this tri-core that we've been seeing from a lot of teams? OG started that in Stockholm Major, or they perfected that perhaps. Do these 4s, these faster 4s don't need items, put more pressure into these tri-core strategies?
I mean,
or do they enable them instead?
They enable them in both, like we see a lot of range cores nowadays, like they enable them in the laning phase, but then also in mid game when you kind of like farming all 3 lanes, like OG style, right? You need those supports to kind of block the smokes and kind of give vision for your cores, right? And those heroes that don't need items, that are kind of, it's kind of annoying to run into a clock, you know? He might hook away, he might put cogs down. Same with the Nyx assassin, right? He's running back and forth. Even Tusk, like, these heroes are, even if you run into them smoked, you might not be able to kill them. And if you do kill them, it doesn't really matter, right?
Sure.
So I think that's also some of the strength of the heroes.
Oh, well, there's a way to be able to get in onto the back lines if you get, you know, the Blink Dagger into the shackles. Certainly gives you that follow-up potential. So that'd be interesting. I didn't know Seb had subbed in for OG already, just being able to come into this one. But just even with the clockwork as well, one more point that I want to touch on is obviously the double damage that you can now do to creeps with the battery assault, so that if you are out there blocking creeps, trying to hunt around a little bit, you have the potential to like shove in a more dangerous lane a little bit more effectively, right? You can get that farm if you need to, just to relieve a little bit of map pressure on the map.
Yeah, it's definitely like covered some of the hero's weakness before. Like you are able to farm some camps in the downtime. As for the bans, we can have a look at it fast. Like, I think I mean, it's kind of a lot of the same bans we see nowadays. It's always like these bristlebacks and like Death Prophet. You
particularly with a Warlock, the bristle is just like so devastating in the lane, right? Cool Spray is going to hit everything. You bully them out of the lane. You've got insane sustain with the Shadow Word.
Fatal Bonds, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm really thinking of is how is LGD going to be able to respond to this? Because they've obviously got really good team fight. Now they've got good pick-off as well with the Wind Ranger. So which one do you choose to focus on? I feel like Dawnbreaker is pretty good, right? Because you can go for that pick-off. You have a strong lane. You've got that ability to respond to like, you know, a tiny initiating onto someone with a Fatal Bonds. And kind of like I was talking about with the Clockwork, if this Dawnbreaker goes into a support role, not to say it has to, you can also play that more dangerous role, you know, free up a lot of space on the map for the cause to continue to farm.
There's another aspect of this draft that we've been seeing a lot this tournament as well, which is the global aspect as Dawnbreaker came into the meta. With Zeus, Clockwork, and Dawnbreaker, there's a lot of global potential here. How do you feel about that strength of a lineup? Is that ever a factor that you look into it, the mobility around the map?
Yeah, I think these global heroes, like we see a lot of them being played right now.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, Dawnbreaker, Zeus, Furion especially right now, like these heroes are, I mean, they add an extra kind of dynamic to your lineup, right? That makes it easier to play. But we see here LDD, they have, I was gonna mention like how they are still flexible in the sense that they can put the Dawnbreaker mid, offlane and carry, and the Zeus can still be support. They end up picking the Jakiro here, which kind of locks their draft a bit more, but at the same time they're able to put the Dawnbreaker carry as well as offlane. Knowing them, I think it's probably more likely to be offlane, because I mean, maybe Amir can play it, but I strike LDD more as being, you know, they want him to be on an actual like hard carry, right?
Sure.
And they go for the Void here.
One other thing I want to point out as well with LGD's draft, one thing I really like about it, we've talked a little bit about that global presence coming through with the Zeus and the Dawnbreaker, and it feels to me like this Jakiro and Clockwork, once you hit level 6 on Jakiro, on both of them honestly, they can just roam on their own and look to pick off kills, right? You get the hookshot, you get the cogs, drop down the macro pyre. If it's a support, that's all you need. If it's a core, a really high priority target that you find, you're able to drop that Thunder God's Wrath and the Solar Guardian to be able to convert onto a really valuable kill. So it allows something like the Dawn and the Zeus to just sit back and farm and let the supports be the ones to take the onus on being aggressive.
Now that the Void got picked, there is no chance of Jakiro going offlane here, right? Because it is a freebie here for the Jakiro.
I mean, that could be really cool if they choose to do that, honestly.
And the other point for the Void I'm questioning is Void into Dawnbreaker. Usually they're trying to avoid that because obviously they're healing the Dawnbreaker. How do you feel that matchup goes, Misery?
I mean, I think Dawnbreaker is a super strong laner, but I feel like Void Warlock will be really happy going against like Clockwork Dawnbreaker.
Sure.
They're gonna be, so that's why I kind of like the idea of doing Jakiro offlane with a clock and then having Dawnbreaker either played as 5 or as the carry here, right? I think that could be putting a lot of pressure on OG. I wonder if it's a little bit of a drastic kind of
change
move. Yeah, change, but so I feel like they're not going to do that. They could put the Jakiro in the offlane as a support though, together with the Dawnbreaker and play clock into the tiny 4.
Wouldn't hate that. I mean,
actually it's win 1 and 4, so they know that it's a tiny mid now.
Yeah.
That's also something to note.
And a Spectre coming out. Okay, really doubling down on that global potential, right? 3 different heroes. Again, Clockwork, I guess you could say Rocket Flare is that a little bit as well. Yeah. I just want to touch on the Void really quickly, though. It feels like that time dilation is going to have a lot of value this game. You know, Dawnbreaker, one of those heroes that likes to weave in and out of fights, use the spells. They've got similar-ish cooldowns. Same sort of thing with the Zeus, right? You want to be constantly casting. Even the Jakiro to some extent. So I feel like maybe an early Ag Shard is the way that they're going to go after the Maelstrom on the Faceless Void this game, just to be able to dominate a few of those early skirmishes and look to cement the control on the map. But I really like LGD's draft so far.
How does OG respond to this? Like, what's the final pick that makes their draft work? It seems like they have to just concentrate on Void being strong here. Like, you need something inside the chrono.
I mean, they might pick something like Underlord or...
It's banned.
It's banned?
Yeah, they banned Underlord, Slaughter.
Maybe Tidehunter. Could be... I mean, they just need something that goes up against the Spectre and just chills there, right? Because it's a pretty free lane for a lot of offlaners. Necrophos?
I mean...
Huskar.
Wow. Oh, that is the Amar special. Hello.
Don't hate that. Don't hate that. We get to see something else coming out, and there's all smile with the OG boys as well. I was thinking, like, what's going to provide break? Because, I mean, Tiny eventually, I suppose, can look to go into it, but that Spectre is going to be a little bit of a menace unless the lane gets dominated by Amar.
Yeah. Every time I see the Huskar, I still remember this one pub chat I saw of Amar where he picked Razor for the 15th game in a row, and someone out chats, I forgot who it was, Razor again, and he goes, "Do you want me to do Huskar instead?" As that's the threat from Amar.
So like right now, I think the pick is cool and everything, but I feel like there's a bit of a weakness for OG if LG chooses to try lane, safe lane, because they can actually just throw the Dawnbreaker off lane alone against Warlock, and he should be able to get a lot of stuff, right?
Get something.
By himself, yeah, something. Meanwhile, Huskar is a hero that's pretty reliable, reliant on having a good lane, right? Getting that armlet on early on. If he's shut down, it can be a real problem for their draft, I think so. I don't know if they can do that, but I think that's something that they can punish OG with.
Oh, as you guys saw the draft here, you see the Spectre is like kind of about to disappear, and so will we. We will also disappear and give way to the casters for this game 2 between OG and PSG LGD.
Amar the Huskar, that last pick coming out, Lacoste. That's a dirty one, isn't it? OG really flipping the script on that.
It really is, but this global presence, we've seen it so many times in this patch over the DPC in this tournament. Teams do prioritize a couple of these heroes. We're talking about the Zeus, we're talking about the Dawnbreaker especially, and now we're gonna have a full combo. Clockwork, Dawnbreaker, Zeus, and Spectre on one team. Maybe they could have had, Ancient Apparition to have 5 out of 5, because Jakiro is a bit sluggish, but we'll see. I like the point that Misery made on panel about the potential tri-lane to be able to just get to this, good start to Ame, because Huskar doesn't deal well with the tri-lane, and the Dawnbreaker could potentially be left alone, I would say, for a couple of minutes, maybe 2-3, and then she will need help. It's not a killer lane. We're talking about Warlock plus Faceless Void.
Passive.
It's very passive. It's about securing your safe lane farm, pretty much.
Yeah, keep that Void topped up on his HP. Not really any aggression or kill threat from them. Yuragi going to walk up on the high ground to try and scout any vision, but Faith Beyond was there ready and waiting for him. It's always so cool to see how these concepts develop, right? The first time we saw these heroes going into that mid-tower range, looking for observer wards, then we see people reacting, putting a player there, so you can't really give away that information. And now it's always someone sat there to scout out. As LGD hold the high ground near the top rune.
And the backstab from LGD.
From behind, they're baiting with nothing to say, and OG, they had no idea this was coming.
They want Amar.
Huge dual breath in onto Amar and Misha. Focus the Huskar on with the battery assault. Jin-Q body blocking him, and Amar about to die as your first blood spilt out by LGD Zeus. Nothing to say, your mid laner grabbing that extra gold is going to be a huge boost to him.
A perfect execution from LGD for that first blood. They did not allow them to see them. And look at the 2 observer wards scouting things out. One in the triangle and one behind tier 1 and tier 2 tower.
That's huge. I see everything coming. And it looks like Misery was absolutely spot on. 3 heroes from LGD up top. The tri-lane has been assembled. And Amar, I think he's realized what's coming. He sits away. They focus Tiger, forcing both supports back as Misha has also traversed his way up top. Tri-lane versus tri-lane.
Does have a Fairy Fire.
What year is it? Tiger is dual breathed up. The Fairy Fire popped. He's alive and safe under the tier 1.
Yep. I saw the post on Reddit about old E-Home from 2008 or 2010. These are the guys, ESWC, they invented the tri-lane.
The old Visage, the Undying. Now, none of them. We've got Warlock, Windranger against the Clockwork Jakiro, and Tiger is in trouble again. Misha's trying to tank the battery assault for him. But you've got so much harassment coming out of these LGD heroes that OG have been buckled, sent back to their tower time and time again.
Also, Ame going for Earn. This is a bit of an old school build because they knew, they already know, like PSG LGD, they're prepared in every single segment of the game because they knew that they're going to run a tri-lane. So having that means they're going to be a little bit more kills, a bit more aggression. So the value that you get from Earn is going to be pretty nuts in this game. Also, nothing to say, off to a good start. One more time, getting the first blood, getting that bottle. So he's going to have rune to be secured and also bringing some extra items. What is he bringing? Magic Stick and the Clarity.
Yeah, leaps and bounds ahead already. And will the Spectre, you reckon, finish that into Spirit Vessel against the Huskar, or is it just an Earn for laning stage?
It's just for the laning stage. It gives you, like, decent amount of stats, a bit of mana regen, and yeah, exactly what you need.
Makes sense, makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Sage's Mask is such a valuable item all around. A good pick up for him, as Misha's Courier, with a lot of regen on it, dies. So this top lane looking pretty dire for OG.
Sage Mask for something called Sage. It's, carries are pretty happy to buy the item.
They are. Now bot lane, Yuragi against Faith Beyond in a 1v1. So that's not too bad for the Dawnbreaker, right?
No, Dawnbreaker's gonna do okay, because she does, like, every single time the hammer's used, and look at the build. He's going for a point in Luminosity, just to have some extra sustain, a bit of more harassment. And, here comes the harassment, because he just used the Time Walk.
Tiger turning onto Xingqiu. Why is that? To hold them back. It's triple range from OG, so they've got the ability to position themselves and do good damage into the Spectre and the Clockwork if they are able to put themselves in that spot. And they'll go towards Ame. A couple of burning spears. Why? Getting chased down by Tiger. So revenge for OG incoming. No way for Jakiro to slip away from that. Finish him off with the
They want to get a return kill. Only level 1 on Clockwork. Needs to be a little bit careful.
Straight towards Tiger, though. Into the middle of 3 of them. Shadow Word on him. Tiger, wind running away, and now Xingqiu going to hand his life over to Amar, who gets a double kill.
OG used the opportunity because Clockwork was trying to pull the lane back. Lane was very close to tier 1 tower of OG, and they needed to pull it back, and instant aggression coming out. You mentioned the 3 range heroes, especially against Spectre. Ame actually has Spirit Vessel queued up.
Ooh. Yeah, that's why I was wondering. Against the Huskar, it kind of makes sense, but do you have the worry that he's not going to scale if he buys this item? It's quite expensive for a position 1 to go for this utility item. As in that mid lane, top rune spot, BZM trapped inside the cogs. Xingqiu, he sets it up for nothing to say here to get a bit more zap damage in. And Zeus finding another kill and accelerating his own game.
He still might change his mind about the Spirit Vessel, but yeah, thinking outside of the box, maybe they're gonna play a bit more like heavy, like carry-oriented build on Dawnbreaker, and the Spectre will catch up. Because you don't want to have Spirit Vessel on the core Dawnbreaker. Zeus is not the one that's gonna buy it, but yeah, we'll see if he heavily commits to it.
We'll see what he does. Yeah, we'll give him that. A little bit of a window there. It's a nice stopgap item just to kind of bridge the early game.
OG will need to be careful. Zeus is going to be level 6 very soon after the next creep wave. So then having that extra damage on 3 heroes against the tri-lane, that's going to be massive. This is when LGD will try to get a kill or 2.
Well, the contest on the pull. Xingqiu getting shackled, but he's got Tiger inside the cogs now. Dagger across from Ame. Close the gap onto the Wind Ranger. She'll try and get out with the Wind Run. Xingqiu going in, but the Solar Guardian is coming in, landing onto Amar's head. And Huskar, the quick change of focus, charging in towards Misha and Tiger now, and all 3 of them are going to die. Clockwork, the only casualty for LGD. Zeus, yeah, he was dropping low in that mid lane.
He was ready to pop the ulti, but no mana, has Arcane Boots right now. This global presence, this is how they're going to get more heroes and just try to kill this tri-lane. Xingqiu doing a lot of work in terms of refilling the bottle, ganking the mid lane. He's securing nothing to Say's early game. And yeah, in terms of levels, not doing so hot. Level 2.5 on Clockwork. Shackle doesn't connect. Tiger steals Invis.
Snags it under the nose. I have nothing to say. He's still full HP, full mana though. Would have liked a bottle refill, but not a massive deal. Tiger coming in from behind. The avalanche was there, but no toss available for BZM. Couldn't get on top of the Zeus. While back up the top, that's just, yeah, Xingqiu Every time you look at this clockwork, he is there, trapping someone inside cogs. Fatal bonds from Misha, though, trying to swing the momentum back their way. And even though they are 2v3, they push LGD back, and in the mid lane, another shackle shot. An interesting angle there from Tiger. Still unable to finish him off, and nothing to say, stands his ground. Blows up the Wind Ranger and survives on a sliver of HP.
Raindrop plus a Fairy Fire, even a full magic one. Usually you don't see that item on Zeus, but this is what keeps him alive. Having a couple of extra charges and also 3 extra attributes. Man, looking at the bottom lane, Fate Beyond 43 and 13 against 29. So he's going to have another ulti in 15 seconds. Is he bringing, a couple of mangoes?
Just keep that game flowing for LGD.
Jin-Q, another refill.
Oh, he's all over the place, isn't he? I don't think he's come down bottom yet, so he's got one of those maps. He wants to travel the world. He's going to cross the bottom jungle off his list as he gets a nice little ward there deep in the jungle. He has spent a lot of time kind of ping-ponging from top to mid, bouncing around.
Dawnbreaker ulti available. Zeus not ready, but they're waiting for nothing to say on the high ground.
They were waiting for him. They know that rotation was coming, but the Solar Guardian and the raindrops popped down. Nothing to say, he's fine. BZM spent his combo with no kill coming, and a turnaround cancelled by Tiger. Good shackle shot. Stops the Starbreaker, and Uragi saves the void. He's here with Chrono ready, holding onto it for the time being, and blown up completely. Didn't spend his ultimate. Well, Amar, yes, he'll kill off Y, but Spectre chasing him down under the tier 1 tower top. The Avalanche toss, not finishing off the clock. LGD yet again winning a battle where it looked like OG had the setup on them.
Yeah, nothing to say was keeping the distance on Zeus, using Arc Lightning like, I don't know, 10, 15 times, and they just couldn't get stuff done. Even if he lands a Chronosphere, I don't think there's enough damage. Like, in terms of damage inside Chrono, they're gonna be pretty limited. We're talking about, like, maybe Tiny's Avalanche Power Shot, but other than that, yeah, it's gonna be very, very limited. Yeah. And now Spectre has ulti, so they don't necessarily need to play the top lane. They can shift position to potentially bottom lane. Zeus will have ulti available in 3 seconds, plus Arcane Rune. Like, this global strat.
Like, they can play anywhere. They're not locked into any real part of the map. They've got the potential to go wherever they want to. If they know there's a target they can kill quickly, they'll find him. But this Radiant Observer ward, getting dewarded, did spot them coming, so Misha will retreat back behind his tower. They'll see Uragi bottom, though, in a second. I think that Dire ward might just have... maybe it didn't. The trees were there, right? I don't think they knew exactly where he was going.
Ah, man, what a player. Going for Spirit Vessel, no boots, Magic Wand on Spectre. We'll have it in 400 gold. I guess he understands that this Huskar could potentially get out of control if he's not countered. All they have is like magical damage. There's gonna be some physical coming out from Fate Beyond because he's going for Deso.
Oh, from the offlane, yeah, he is.
This is what I mentioned, just him scaling a little bit more to have the damage, because Spectre going for different item, and in terms of tower damage, they don't have as much, so this Deso is going to help out quite a lot. Jin-Q, shackle on him.
And BZM coming forward, but there we go. Dawnbreaker ulti, it is forced down, the Chrono on 2. Why? And nothing to say, looking to get damaging from the sideline. The Tiny was trapped inside the Chrono, now Ice Path and caught out. BZM in trouble, the Spectre horns back in towards Uragi. Chasing the Faceless Void, a good shackle shot comes. But Uragi, that time walk to the low ground, I don't think that's enough to give him the space he needs.
One more zap.
LGD will find the Faceless Void. A lot of ultimates expended in that trade. But LGD coming out on top once again. BZM, pick off the Chikiro.
Oh, the slows on the attack speed.
So
nothing
difficult.
to say. Has another chain and we'll get it.
He's going to get the double here, isn't he? I mean, Amar is arriving. Jin-Q will try and save, nothing to say, but the Huskar with the damage. Amar jumps in, the Cogs were good, but they kill the Zeus.
That's a big one. Amar on top of the net worth right now. He was in the triangle, getting a couple of stacks, and very close to just a casual Sand right now. Having that armlet, it's going to be a bit difficult to go in and kill Roshan because of all the global presence that they have. Like, even one rocket could change things, one Zeus ulti. So they need to take a fight before they can go inside a bit with the Huskar.
And little bit nasty playing into Jakiro as well. Damage over time is always your enemy as a Huskar with an armlet. 11 minutes, 4 seconds. First time this patch, no surprises whatsoever. As Spectre finishes the Spirit Vessel.
It's easy to break a record if you go for item that no one buys.
I wonder what the stats are on like a Crystal Maiden Rapier.
Probably happened, man. Not in the DPC tour, but yeah, in some lower brackets, definitely happened. Zeus ulti is available. He used the previous one with your Arcane Rune, so that means it's going to be up again. BZM on Tiny. Shut down a little bit. Also, he decided to go for Power Treads and Windlay, so the Blink Dagger gonna be delayed.
Yeah, much slower game from him. And both of the big cores, well, I guess the regular cores on OG sitting about 4,000 net worth. And again, we come back to the point about Amar being that position 1 from the offlane. He is the highest farmed hero in the game at over 6,000. A lot rests on his shoulders going into these mid-game team fights.
Oh, Radiant. Using the scan, wrong side. PSG LGD will do a wraparound. It's only Wind Ranger that they can find. Should be an easy one. Another Arcane Rune. Could we check the rune control again for this particular game? Because in the previous one, yeah. Zeus 6, Tiny 3, and Clockwork 5.
Oh, we've seen this from LG, right? You know, up against any team at this tournament. It has been control the runes for nothing to say. Bounty runes as well, of course, adding a lot of that income to LGD's bank accounts. It's a 1K lead. So on the other side, you can say OG doing a pretty good job at keeping the farm rates up and actually hitting creeps much better. 107 last hits compared to 69 on the Faceless Void.
Nice. Faceless Void going for Head of Midas is going to have it right now, pops it immediately. Seems like Yuragi going for a bit of a different item build because he was playing 1 versus 1, so you don't need that much sustain. It's still slower. I believe like one of the fastest one was an EU DPC Div 2, like 5 minutes, 5-minute Midas, because Faceless, it was also on Faceless Void, yeah. Low skill, I believe, is the one who got it.
7 minutes usually. On this Faceless Void. Might be a rush, you know, he's gone for Treads Wraithband. TP's away from the bot lane, gets out of the reach of Faith Beyond's Dawnbreaker. And there's another rune, right? DD spawns bot. Guess who's getting it? It's nothing to say.
He is picking up the power runes. Jinkyu all over the place with his Clockwork, moving around the map in the triangles, cutting things out, what's happening now near the outpost, planting some vision, being very annoying in their face. And they have this global presence, they don't even need it to pop the Warlock.
No, they don't. Straight onto the Warlock, and yeah, LGD is so good at playing into their vision. Yeah, he's getting into position to place it, but is also rallying his team to come and use that vision to their advantage to get these kills. OG looking to make a concerted effort to go and push out top lane with 3 heroes there and getting some wards down of their own, scouting Ame in the jungle.
Ame is still more farmed than Yuragi, even though he decided to go for Spirit Vessel, which is not an item that helps you farm by any means.
Yeah, looking for those charges for the kills. A couple of minutes ago, there was a lot of drawing from OG, the captains saying, stay on our side of the river, don't overextend, just keep this calm, natural farm rate, income flowing.
Fate Beyond finishing this, so they are ready to go. Like, they want to take a fight right now. Spectre, Haunt is available if they want to show where Warlock is.
And they see Yuragi. A few spells onto him immediately. The Golem dropped in onto just Jinkyu. The Faithful Bonds across the 4 of them. Tiny in with the Avalanche Toss, and they've killed the Clockwork quickly. Solar Guardian now, as Faith Beyond arrives, and they'll burst through too. Tiger and BZM being blown up. Y will drop, and Faith Beyond taken out by Amar, and Yuragi's Chrono, the turnaround for OG. They kept Tiger alive, and now they're on the Spectre. 5 heroes about to die, LGD getting wiped.
Oh, what a beautiful fight from OG. Very patient with the Golem and also with the Chronosphere. They did not want to commit immediately. They also have like good ways to counter-initiate. And yeah, look at some of these numbers. Is that 3,000 damage done by Warlock?
Yeah,
4,000 by Huskar. Yeah, those Fatal Bonds. And finally, OG about to pick up 1 rune. Oh, Misha gets it.
An arcane rune for him.
Yeah, because Tiny was not close. Usually you would want to give it to Tiny, but Tiny does not have a TP. Hook shot.
In. Why? Trying to catch up here to Tiger, but the shackle shot keeps him at bay. And Huskar straight back in with the life break in a fire. Power shot trying to snipe Jin-Q, but he popped his one, and it looks like he should get away.
OG doesn't rely, like, even without, you know, Chronosphere and Rock, they can still take a fight, because you have Huskar. On the other side, PSG LGD, they want to have Zeus ulti, they want to have Spectre. We're going to see that again. Like, Rock drop, and Yuragi managed to get out. Like, even though there was an ice pad, but good shackle, so he manages to get on top.
And look at this life break with the Fatal Bond.
Yeah, I mean, everyone had Fatal Bonds on them.
As soon as the Huskar spots the guy he wants to go on, Faith Beyond just immediately evaporates. Fatal Bonds bounces the damage back into the Chrono on the Zeus.
It was a nicely placed Chronosphere on the edge, catching two heroes.
It looked decent for LGD with that global presence and the Spectre joining in, but beautifully done by OG to execute, and they'll continue. Their steamroller don't stop. Jin-Q, another one on the list, ticked off.
I love build on Yuragi this time around, going for the Fusel Blade to be able to have like another form of slow, just to be able to kill supports, slow down Zeus potentially, like even Spectre burning the mana, and now inside Roche Pit they go. No rocket. Let's see if Zeus, if they know something is up.
They've got to know. Huskar, such an important Roshan hero, and Jin-Q does ping it out. It's BZM with Yuragi holding out in that mid lane, and the rest of OG wanting to fight while Amar can basically just solo Roshan.
Got scouted out. Amar still has armlet and 16 wand charges. Let's see. Jin-Q looking for an angle, gets it.
Forward, they get into the pit. Roshan nearly dead, and they blow up Amar. The Thunder God's Wrath, beautifully placed on Misha. He drops the golem in on them, snatched up. BZM grabs the Aegis and the three-man Chrono. Yuragi's got four of them trapped in there, in fact. Nothing to say, focus down, and the upheaval slows them to a crawl. There's no escape. OG, they're destroying them. Army's left out in the river. No way to get out of the grasp of OG.
Even though they got a good initiation, they found the angle for Huskar to be able to kill him. Rock drops, and the beautiful Chronosphere. 2 times in a row, Yurag Giga Chad, I dare to say. Absolutely beautiful. And Tiny finally gets to get his couple of combos off in a team fight.
So
I'm not sure if Spectre ulti was not available. Yeah, it looked like it wasn't, so.
Still on CD.
They connected, maybe like allowing too much, because Dawnbreaker ulti did get stopped there, and yeah, 4-man Chronosphere.
These Fatal Bonds as well, again, across 4 heroes, spreading this damage. So beautifully pushed out. BZM respawning after grabbing the Aegis. Just turns it back onto Arme. Focus everybody else, leave the Spectre till last. And wipe LGD off the face of the map. Amar looks a little uncomfortable that he died around Roshan. He's not too happy about that.
He wanted that Aegis, you know, Amar.
Yeah, he absolutely would have loved to have it. As Yuragi picks up yet another one. One in that top jungle. LGD still trying to play into their vision there with nothing to say in Jin-Q. Look at that damage spread, 10.7k from the Warlock, and that's majority from the Fatal Bonds. Haunt in from Arme. They're hunting though, OG are in on to Zeus, nothing to say, can't heavily jump away. And a time walk out by the Faceless Void creates the gap he needs, allowing LGD to pick up the pieces, clear up Tiger.
Yes,
but now
Blade slowing them down.
Dilation, the Diffusal Blade slow, and BZM with the gap closed. Oh, they toss him back into Amar, who's got the damage to wreck the Dawnbreaker. Limb from limb.
If this is a Maelstrom, they don't have enough. You don't have this another slow to be able to set things up for your Tiny, to toss him back into Amar. And yeah, Tiny's getting pretty massive. Now they are the ones controlling the runes. Yuragi's gonna pick up Regen, refill the bottle for BZM. And BZM on Tiny. Echo Saber done, Blink Dagger as well. Thinking about getting a Force Staff.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
There is 1 Force Staff on a Wind Ranger that's going to be done in 100 gold. Warlock probably thinking about getting one after finishing the pipe. They're going to hit a big timing with this pipe. A lot of damage will be negated by pipe, because most of the damage that they got is magical, besides Dawnbreaker. A couple of right clicks, you know, here and there. Getting scouted.
I saw BZM for a second, but it was Jin-Q and Y, the 2 supports, not wanting to stick around. And yeah, look there. He's caught up now, BZM. Not just that, but they've overtaken in terms of bounty rune gold as well. Of course, getting them later on gives you more of that money. Why very aggressively farming this bottom Radiant jungle. OG is spamming them. Don't let them get away with this. Get straight onto that Jakiro. Jinkyu with the hook shot, the force staff across. But Y is focused down. Jinkyu has the force staff and TP home. What was that? What was the idea there for LGD? Putting two supports bottom. Is that drag OG away from the rest of their cause?
They freshly placed 2 observer wards, so this is where they're going to be playing for the next couple of minutes.
Dire are scanning.
Zeus having a bit of a rough game this time around. 4 deaths. They did manage to find him a couple of times.
Stream चालू करके मैं तो मैच देखते सो गया था यार.
Scepter. Maybe I need a Ghost Scepter on top of that. And now going for Eon this. Wants to be able to protect himself. And they also have Seb, you know, even though that he's not in the game, but a couple of voice lines. He's there. They can feel the presence. He's in the same building.
He's there in spirit. OG smoked up. I've got great ways of catching and killing any number of these LGD heroes.
Oh, bye.
CM. Just going to clear out the mid wave rather than going into the darkness of the dire triangle. And yet again, they're going to want to play into their vision. 2 Radiant Observer wards.
क्या लगता है भाई लोग कौन जीतेगा?
Basically,
Fuck.
of the
बैच देखो यार वो.
Faint beyond, scouted by the power shot. Uragi chases.
Lol.
Shackle shot and the avalanche there, and this Faceless Void now unstoppable.
Value from this Diffusal Blade. I already mentioned it a couple of times, but yeah, got him like 4 kills already. Level 18 on Faceless Void. That Hand of Midas really paying off. Ame, level 15. Getting Manta Stall done, still not that much damage. Like I don't know if they can just go in and burst Faceless Void, especially when Warlock is sitting behind him.
It's incredibly difficult.
Okay, ये तो गेम लगा मेरे को लग रहा है कि OG जीत जाएगा ये
where everything skyrocket for OG.
Couple of fights like that.
Fuck यार मैं कितनी देर सो गया था भाई. एक गेम ऑलरेडी LGD जीत गया है. मैं तो वो देखा ही नहीं. खतरनाक नींद ले लिया है मैंने भाई.
Got TP out straight away, and the force staff there is allowing BZM to play aggressively into the Jakiro. Solar Guardian and the hook.
Oh, bye, nice one.
Letting OG having any freebies, taking down the Tiny and the Wind Ranger.
Fuck यार मेरे को लगा था कि ये चोप देंगे अभी, लेकिन
Juragi was showing top lane.
मेरे को सिर्फ ये गेम में वाइड का जरा ऐसा लग रहा है, लेकिन साला अगर ज़्यादा लेट गेम हुआ ना तो आई थिंक मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि
the ice path misses, but Uragi's gone straight in towards nothing the same. Nearly blown up, but it's BKB forcing the Eon Disc now after that chrono.
GG.
Uragi
चलो भाई ये गेम भी हो गया है, मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है OG बाहर होने वाला है अभी.
And they will pick off Misha with Jinkyu's cogs. Faith beyond. Careful, buddy. Look who's coming over this hill.
Amar the fucker.
And he is hungry.
Splitting out the map. And then trying to go for Faceless Void, baiting the Chronos.
Guys, जरा like big ठोक दो मस्त एकदम. जो भी नए लोग आए हो फटाफट.
Use it from Faceless Void. It's all about these little things that did add up in this fight. Do you have any big items on side of PSG LGD? It's still far away from Spectres. Scotty and yeah, Zeus going for Aghanim Scepter. That's going to take a while. No BKB. Like PSG LGD will need to farm for another.
साला अभी सीन क्या हो गया भाई, मैं
set of items on their side.
देखते सो गया था. अब उठा ना गेम तो शायद से मैं फर्स्ट गेम का ड्राफ्ट जो था ना उसमें मैं मेरे ध्यान में ऐसा था कि टाइनी जो नथिंग टू से शायद से खेल रहा था फर्स्ट गेम में. मेरे को अभी ध्यान में नहीं है. आई थिंक मोस्टली नथिंग टू से ही खेल रहा था फर्स्ट गेम में टाइनी. हाँ ओके. तो साला मैं एकदम अचानक से नींद खुल गया ना भाई, तो मैं देख के एकदम ऐसे बोला साला क्या हो रहा है भाई, नथिंग टू से पेल रहा है बहुत टाइनी से, ऐसा लगा मेरे को पहले उठ के. साला अभी फिर बराबर ध्यान से देखा तो साला ये तो उल्टा गेम हो गया. वही सोचा साला सूट से यार नथिंग टू से ऐसे मार रहा है अभी. बोला क्या हो रहा है? तो सचमुच में अभी गेम देखा तो भाई ये सीन है कि भाई गेम 1 तो खत्म हो गया ऑलरेडी, एलजीडी जीत गई है और अभी दूसरा गेम चालू उसमें भाई टाइनी अपोजिट में नींद में ये लुल हो गया अपना। ओ भाई बहुत मेहनत करवाया। सही था लेकिन अभी हस्कर का हो गया सेप्टर, अभी गू खिलाएगा सबको।
That's going to be big. Locking down a hero. If he can find an opening on Zeus. He does have an E on this, but let's see this one. Ame. Up and down, up and down.
Trying to juke it all around, but Amar's found him.
मर गया
Spectre on the chrono. Jump in from Uragi. Diving deeper. Tiger dies. Ame somehow. He's still alive. Solar Guardian's there to heal up the Zeus as well, but the Spectre finished off by OG.
Ame with the buyback.
He wants to fight and continue this one.
Okay, buyback क्यों किया उसने? Oh, nice चलो। मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा है ये वापस मरने वाला है उसका। मर गया चलो, अभी मर गया।
Oh, he's gonna get a kill. 9 charges, 9 stacks. They're trying to keep him alive with the Glimmer Cape, but it's not going to be enough. Roshan is being pinged out 20 seconds. Yeah, they need to get this, Roshan. It was a relatively early buyback from Ahmed. He wanted to join the fight. 10 seconds. In terms of Rosh damage, not the greatest. They do have like Manta-style Spectre with the Desolate and Deso on Dawnbreaker, but I don't know if they want to go in. 40 seconds until Huskar respawns. Huskar is doing so much in these fights.
Oh yeah, he is. Like really, it is no joke when you've got fatal bombs on 4 or 5 heroes, and a life break comes out onto someone like a Spectre who is very tanky. All that damage stacking up and spilling across LGD. And Huskar there didn't have buyback, and we know that. But maybe something LGD were considering was the ability for Huskar to rejoin the fight and make it a 5v5.
New neutral items are dropping. Anything big? Not on their side. Spectre with the Paladin sword. That's not going to keep her alive in these fights. Clockwork with the Cloak of Flames.
Huskar has one of those cloaks as well.
Yeah, he's called Cloakwork when he picks it up.
Cloakwork, yes, Lacoste.
All the abilities are going to be ready in 20 seconds for OG.
Oh, a blink dagger for Tiger now. Even more maneuverability to get on top of the Zeus, which has been his primary focus. Finally, shackle shot angles. It's been very good from OG. Now Huskar focusing Spectre.
Time walk misses.
Clockwork in the cogs. Shackled up. Well, there's Tiger. Showing off his fancy new item. Repositioning himself perfectly. And Clock dead for 40. Is this a quick
they're going to try to
him?
force it. Yeah, I feel like they will. 40 seconds, more than enough. And here comes instant buyback from Clockwork.
And look at OG. As soon as that buyback happens, they're ready to move out of the pit, reposition, think about their options, go to the high ground. It's always the safest move. But which high ground do they want? They're like, do we go triangle? No. That's too far back. We'll go aggressively onto their high ground, move to their top lane, find an avalanche toss onto their Jakiro, and pick off white.
Tiger has been on point, playing with Tiny this time around, and just follows up on stun from Tiny. And I love itemization on OG. BZM going for a force staff to be able to get that outside of the cogs. Also, close the distance between the heroes, potentially get
here he comes.
Sauce back.
Clockwork's in. A hook shot and cogs. The golem in onto Faith Beyond's hit. Faceless Void. Uragi BKB's up, but the Zeus is being focused by the Huskar. Amar just jumps straight into the back line.
Oh, doesn't get a bash.
No, he just TP's home. He's perfectly fine now, and Dawnbreaker slamming into them. BZM about to dive a blinks away from the hammer. Arme down in the river, looking to slip away from Uragi and Amar, but another life break comes on forward. Solar Guardian is there from Faith Beyond, and they turn it on to him.
He gets it. Crit 1.2k.
Big DD slamming from Faith Beyond, and he aims BZM now. They've got the Clockwork sure, but Uragi needs to do so much more. Faith Beyond will be a big pick-off for them. And LGD lose 3 heroes while OG could still go into the pit.
Yeah, they could potentially buy back on Huskar if they feel like they don't have enough. Golem is there to tank Roshan. They have sustained from Misha, but still respecting, forcing Natmi to say to TP out of the fight. Like, this is majority of their damage. And one more time, Diffusal Blade trying to set things up. That was a fight without a Chronosphere, because Yoragi wanted to land a two-man Chrono, but canceled it last second. And they will have it. They will have it. 15 seconds for a BKB, so they... Ooh, that's a lot of damage. 25,000 damage on Faceless Void.
Look at the Zeus, Spectre, and Dawnbreaker doing about the same amount as well. But LGD not in position to go and contest this Roshan. OG gonna get it for free, it looks like. Yeah, nothing to say, sat in the mid lane. Arme down bottom. No ultis for LGD, and no way they can get into this pit to stop OG.
That seems like they're gonna bail. Not gonna go for Roche. Yoragi thinking about going in. Jumps to high ground just to use Hand of Midas.
He's got Chrono, they got Shackle Shot, and it looks like they're gonna get an easy kill. Find the pick off yet again onto the Jinkyu Clockwork.
Amar getting both of these trades from Roshan, Aegis and the Shard. So now he has Aghanim Scepter plus the Shard, Sage on top of it, going for Satanic next. This Huskar is massive. They need to deal with him twice. Last fight they had double damage on Dawnbreaker and did manage to blow him up. But this time around, I feel like it's going to be much more difficult.
Way, way harder. Oh, we still really haven't seen the scaling potential of Arme, right? Going back to the discussion about the Spirit Vessel, it's been a slow, steady game for this Arme Spectre to get to the items he needs. And he's gone, you know, Vessel, Manta, Aghanims, and then later into the Skadi. Is he going to struggle to do the damage required from that carry?
It's more going to be about trying to kill the two supports on OG and then deal with the rest, because locking down Faceless Void with status resistance, with Warlock behind him, might be a bit too difficult. Amar not in range to use it immediately.
Oh, our favorite animation
would stop it.
The Huskar midlife break animation gets stuck for a few seconds. And he's back.
I think you should follow. Go inside the base.
Yeah. I mean, it used to, right? There are a bunch of those things, maybe Dota 1, I don't know about early Dota 2, but there's things like if you Omni Slashed a TPing target, there were chances that if it was on a certain frame, you'd TP back to base.
Spirit Breaker charge, you could not cancel it at one point. It was pretty grief ability.
Life break back into Fountain. Faith Beyond being found and immediately first hit bashed. Cancel the TP.
Can't get a blink.
Him into the trees. He BKBs up. The blink is coming. The hook shot forward. They'll save him up with Jinkyu's move. Yoragi trapped in the cogs. Or is the Clockwork trapped with him? The bashes and stones. Yoragi just turns and faces against Clockwork. LGD spend a fair amount there to save Faith Beyond, who is still stuck in the forest.
They should know that he's there, because he tried to TP out.
Yeah.
That means he's there somewhere, but they're not going to waste any time. And now Faceless Void with Skadi, another form of slow.
He's massive, 21,000 net worth on him. Huskar not too far behind. Yeah, Faith Beyond has kind of transitioned into that carry from the off lane that we're seeing more and more often. Yoragi, where are you heading off to? Top jungle, hunting white. It's just very oppressive.
Void bot fat hai yaar wo.
Push bot tier 1, move up to top. There is no room to breathe here for LGD.
यार इसमें add-ons वगैरह नहीं क्या यार जो normally invent सब दिखता है वो.
Because we have Blink Dagger, Force Staff, which is kind of okay.
कैसे देखते हैं वो मेरे को notify track changes in theater mode नहीं.
So impressive when it's used in pro games. Maybe he's forgotten about it. And Amar pinging forward. He wants to keep this one going. Clears out creep wave, gets his own creeps up to tier 3. LGD going to quickly realize that they have to deal with this one way or the other. A team fight is imminent. Nothing to stop this Huskar just yet. Zeus's Nimbus quickly cleared out. Right, does LGD want to try and wrap around and they just face off in front of their tier 3s? They glyph.
अभी तो 1.5 मिनट है भाई इसके लिए.
But I don't think that's going to stop the war machine from moving. Yeah, Yuragi time walks up, reverses it back.
OG understands where the real threat is coming from. If you look at the itemization, Huskar does have extra magic resistance. Then you have Tiny with the Mage Slayer and the Warlock full pipe.
Huskar's just finished off a Satanic, I think.
You're right.
Coming on Courier, full Satanic flying out to
Fuck, Satanic हो गया भाई Huskar का.
Drops the Sanj. And now he is just impossible to deal with. It's one of these games where, I don't know, like who do you focus? You go on Huskar, you got to kill him twice, basically 3 times without how tanky he is in the Satanic. Faceless Void has BKB Time Walk, he's difficult to kill once.
It feels like they need an extra set of items. We're talking about Scotty on Spectre, potentially Basher, that goes through BKB, because they have a very hard time locking down the target. There are some BKB piercing abilities with the hook shot, but I don't think that's enough. And now new neutral items are dropping. I see Spell Prism.
Down to items, not like, you know, think about Dota and team fights, how we start them, the order operations. Is there some way they can think about hookshot Nimbus onto a Warlock, kill him first and then move on? Or is it just they need these items to actually contend with OG?
Hello, अभी आवाज आ रही क्या?
Rising 2.5 minutes for a potential roast spawn. There is Basher on Dawnbreaker.
Catch on white. Arme wants to force a fight. Nimbus down, Tiger hook-shotted up. They've lost their Jakiro, but Yuragi with his BKB and having Chrono ready. Looking for Jinkyu, the bashes don't come. LGD disappear as quickly as they arrived and getting a 1-for-1.
Quick in and out, they're buying time. We mentioned the next set of items. There is AC queued up on a Dawnbreaker. We're getting closer to level 25 for Dawnbreaker especially. Fate Beyond having a really good game. Like we're talking about 2 Starbreaker charges with magic immunity, then a BKB on top of that.
Hiding in the trees.
Oh, GG.
Oh yeah.
Yuragi's positioning.
Scheme दे दिया.
Not just positioning. I'm looking at the neutral items. Zeus found a timeless relic. Extra 15% spell damage and debuff duration.
And we saw that as Spell Prism on the Void. Even more time walks. OG planting themselves up top, knowing that Arme was.
का सेप्टर मांटा और वेसल पे उंगली कर रहा है अभी और 1-2 आइटम आ गए तो फिर यार बहुत माइंड फक करेगा यार.
Looks like LGD will go for the mirror movement, get some of that safer farm in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Maybe get some vision going as well, and knowing there's at least a minute until the next Roshan will be available.
We didn't mention that Faceless Void did hit level 25, having the backtrack ability. It's a big one. This is, like, this can turn the whole fight around, especially if you try to burst him down. They don't have anyone who builds into Silver Edge, which that talent is breakable.
Yeah.
So no one has it, so it's going to be very difficult for PSG to just lock onto Yuragi and try to kill him.
The checklist just keeps getting longer and longer, doesn't it? It feels like they need Decisive Device, they need Silver Edge, they need this item, that item. Like how do you deal with this? It's so damn difficult. And now Tiny has an Aghanim Scepter to add to the worries of LGD.
Fuck, Tiny के पास scepter आ गया भाई.
Disassemble as Echo, of course, has the Mage Slayer, Aghanims, Amar. They jump the Huskar, but look at that goal.
अबे rune क्यों नहीं लिया भाई?
He's still healthy to battle Faith Beyond. Brings the Dawnbreaker down. BZM in the back line.
ये क्या group है?
Q and Y as well. Tiger running up that high ground.
It seems like PSG
चलो LGD भाई ने group खाना चालू कर दिया है. बाजू में हेस्टा फिर भी लिया नहीं वो मार के.
OG has at the moment. Again, this is a fight without the Chronosphere being used. Faceless Void, he is the carry, but so is Amar. They have like 3 good scaling cores. Amar is massive. Having Satanic level 24 has 3,000 gold saved up. There's going to be a couple of buybacks coming in. Fate Beyond does have one, and so does Y.
Yeah, they might have to spend all 3. And that tier 3 tower broken down by Amar and BZM. All they need are those couple of kills to shake the foundations of LGD's base. Nothing to say behind his tier 4s. He is at a safe distance here, just trying to shove out the wave as best he can, but Yuragi on the high ground, and BZM with a jump in, tosses Jinkyu across. Nimbus there, and Yuragi. Oh, he's lost a lot of HP by the time walk out.
वो क्या है? Void का damage क्या था वो खतरनाक बेटा?
But they've got the damage to bring him down. And a Solar Guardian launching Faith Bian forward.
The bash.
Jumping straight in towards them. Amar's going to line back. BZM looks safe. He's managed to disengage. Amar on the run back, but Yuragi, he's got the chrono still. It's not there. Doesn't have it available. Zeus gone. Faith Bian getting caught out. And that's going to be the beginning of the end now.
GG.
No Dawnbreaker. Amar and Yuragi.
Amar's isolated, he's going to go down.
Oh,
He's got the inner fire, he's got the ability to stand his ground, but he will finally fall and hit the ground.
And Roshan respawned a lot of commitment from PSG. They did buy back on Dawnbreaker, they did buy back on Clockwork, so that means 1.5 minutes without him. Like, they need to have these buybacks to be able to win the fights.
They've got to contest, protect this Roshan. I mean, OG got a mid
Next Roshan जिसको मिलेगा ना वो जीतेगा
a
ये.
little bit of damage to the top tier 3.
Blood ton हो गया भाई Void का.
Slouches, a couple of buybacks. And now trying to sprint across the map towards the pit.
Yuragi still wants to get something done. There's the silence.
He sees the Zeus, stances him up, but Yuragi time walking a little deeper and then back out again as BZM chucks the trees at them. Army loses a third of his HP and the Zeus getting whacked around. The damage is incoming from OG. Yuragi jumps back across and in again.
अरे वो Zeus क्या मर रहा है कि नहीं आज बाबा?
A nice macro pie.
What a play from Yuragi. In and out with the time walks, and PSG LGD, they know they have no business left in this one. So we're going to go to the full distance. We're going to game 3.
OG showing, even after a game 1 stomp, they've got the mental fortitude to go up against one of the best teams in the world. Amar the Husker. I don't know, do you feel good about yourself picking Husker last pick in a game like this?
Oh, they definitely do. I mean, he gets heavily targeted every single game OG plays. They try to ban him out, whether we're talking about the first phase, then in the second phase, coming down to the third one. But he always finds a hero. And, sometimes it happens. It's like, yeah, he doesn't have a hero to play. He brought out Void Spirit in one of those games on the offlane, stayed on top of their net worth as he always does. And in this one, like they ran a tri-lane against the tri-lane. Dawnbreaker did good. A lot of good early rotations, like in terms of execution of this global strat from PSG LGD. But yeah, I want to mention Yuragi. He had pretty amazing game. Going for this Diffusal Blade and of Midas that we mentioned a couple of times to be able to lock them down even more, the slows, and when they decided to go for these fights, like they knew exactly, like there was some good aggression from PSG LGD when they tried to split up the fight, but seems like PSG LGD got figured out at the later stages of the game.
Well, we'll pass it back to Arvo and the Jess to break this one down a little bit more.
Thank you, Gareth. We're here watching the highlights brought to you by Aramco. And what a performance by OG. Some questionable parts about LGD, but still, I think we can highlight one player from OG that stood out for all of us. Yuragi, particularly incredible. Proving once again that the biggest obstacle for Dota players is hair.
अभी मेरे को ऐसा लग रहा ना कल निकमा ने गू खाया था वैसे OG वापस गू खाएगा तो third game में.
No, but yeah, I mean impressive game from OG. I think LGD played really well. I think we had some questionable item choices that made this game very weird to watch.
I mean, we saw it, like, first time picked up this entire patch on the Spectre. You know, I think it was 11-minute Spirit Festival.
Yeah, like we talked on backstage, maybe even ever, you know.
Yeah.
I like maybe, okay, 7 years ago somebody played Spectre and picked up Vessel, but maybe Vessel didn't exist back then. I don't even know, but like...
We just saw a few of those Roche fights, right? He was on the Warlock for legitimately, we were counting it out loud. 5 seconds, but he just wasn't able to kill the enemy position 5 seconds. Like, it was pretty devastating, and then we also were in this situation where Yuragi, he played a fantastic
मेरे कल और उसका गलती था ना
he itemized just
last fight में वो लोग दो ही जन drastic पे गए
and that meant that he had the ability to scale and farm, whereas you can't really farm that effectively when you've got a Spirit Vessel and an Aghanim Scepter on a Spectre.
Yeah, which we can see here on the scoreboard by STC, that Spirit Vessel lasted the whole game, unfortunately. But even though we talked about Void itemizing normally, I mean, yes, compared to a Spirit Vessel, sure, but Diffusal Blade, not the most common build we see on Voids these days. What were your thoughts on that, Don? Do you like it?
I mean, I liked it. It meant that you were able to get in onto the Dawnbreaker pre-Aghanim Shard, pre-BKB, and just look to take away a lot of her effectiveness, right? We saw in a couple of team fights, that was the difference between getting off that Starbreaker that would have actually enabled LGD to connect into a next Roshan. So, yeah, I liked it. It let you also commit without, like, fully using your Q a lot of the time, just for that little bit of a gap close. It feels a little bit nice.
I think another point about the Diffusal is that it allows you to fight more effectively than, for example, Maelstrom.
Sure.
Like, Maelstrom is more used to perhaps farm more, but they have a Huskar on the offlane this game, right? So he kind of, you know, sacrifices his item progression perhaps to play around the Huskar a bit more and win those fights.
You were spot on as well about the tri-lane eventually coming out, just to make sure that you were able to put pressure onto the Huskar, but it felt a little weird to me by LGD as well, because the two supports were doing a good job of zoning out the other two supports, but I feel like if you've got a Huskar just 1v1ing a Spectre up near the tower, Huskar's pretty happy with that, right?
Maybe the first few waves they could have done it differently, like focusing the Huskar and not the supports, but I think actually it worked out really well for LGD. If you remember the beginning of the game when Dawnbreaker hit level 6 at like 5 minutes, TB top killed all 3 heroes, TB back bottom, right? Spectre had complete free farm. I really think that Ame kind of griefed this game by buying Vessel first item. Like, he didn't even go Treads first, you know, he didn't. He had naked Spirit Vessel, and like.
And they had a Clockwork in the game who could very easily.
I mean, the Clock had a good game. He could have just bought the Vessel, right? And then it's also like a psychological thing, right? You imagine you're LGD, you click on your Spectre, and he has a naked Vessel at like minute 12, and you just trial in for him, and then you click on the enemy Void. And he has a Midas, right? It puts pressure on you mentally, honestly. Like, you feel like now we have to fight, you know, we have to get Vessel charges to punish this Huskar. Same with OG. Imagine how they feel, right? I don't care about this Vessel. Like, maybe if Clock had it early, it would be a problem, but this is their enemy carry, right, who buys this item. On top of that, it's also a Spectre who farms incredibly slow in the first place. Like, a lot of the farm Spectre gets, he gets from the first 10 minutes, ideally, right? So he can ramp up his farm. He buys Yasha or Treads or something like that.
Even
Midas,
Blade Mail,
maybe even Midas. I think he could have gone for Midas this game to match the Void Midas, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really think that this game's outcome is very much decided on the Spectre buying this Vessel.
Because yeah, like Faith Beyond played like amazing.
I think LGD played amazing this game, honestly. Like, considering it was more or less 4-5, you know, and. Yeah,
it's a shame. How many times can you say that about Ame, right? Like, he is.
Yeah, it's
one of the
not
most
like him, really. I wouldn't say that. I think his decision making is usually very on point, right?
Not this time. I mean, even the greats are able to stumble once or twice.
But I'm curious though, because like when these things happen, you're right. Sometimes you make one decision, that decision decides the game, and it's unfortunate. But what do you think was the thought process behind the decision? I want to know.
So I think it might be a bit of one of those things where you don't play much against offlane Huskar, right? And you think, oh, if I buy Spirit Vessel, this Huskar can't really play, right? He can heal. We just kill him a couple of times, and then, you know, we take over the game. I get a lot of charges. I can fight my way to items, right? But, you know, you play against an experienced Huskar, he's not going to fight, you know? He's just going to hit creeps.
Yeah, and what Tamar loves.
Get his BKB, right? Get his Sange, and then suddenly the Spirit Vessel has, like, no impact at all.
And like what we were talking about before the series even started, a lot of people say, oh, this is going to be such a valuable experience for OG, you know, the young kids playing against this big Chinese team, but clearly this game is going to be a really valuable experience for LGD, right? They get to experience a completely different meta. They say, okay, well, this really can't work, so let's see if Xiaowe's able to make them adjust a few things and bounce back.
Yeah, I wonder if Xiaowe approves of the Vessel, or if it's like an Ame. Yeah, I doubt it was like a team decision. I think it was like okay, I'm going to try Vessel this game. It looks pretty good, you know?
That quick chuckle is from someone who's seen CLA with any team behind the backs. Very different kind of coaching, I think, from the Chinese teams. A lot of more decision making is on the coach, right? Misery, if you compare, like when you, for example, talk to TSM, FTX, sorry, to your team, just a little sponsor shout out. What is the coaching like for you guys? Like, do you decide a lot of the things within the game? Are you a helping hand? Like, how does that work instead?
I mean, with some things, you know, like, I think it's a lot up to the players as well, like to make decisions, right? I'll say what I think, but I can't really say much in game, right? That's why if Xiaowe was in game, you know, he would maybe have a word or two with Ahmed there, because I know in Xiaowe he's like he's not a big risk taker, right?
Yeah,
he likes something that's solid and that works, right? And I feel like going Vessel here is a big risk instead of just going normal items and like scaling.
So let's say post game, this was Tomato doing it instead, what would you be saying to him?
Why?
I mean, I don't think Tomato would buy a vessel, but if he did, I would say, hey, dude, did you like your vessel this game? Maybe.
Did you have fun? Did you have fun this game?
How was the vessel? Was it good?
Yeah.
Did it feel good?
Oh, interesting. Sarcasm. That is something I thought you would use.
No, just honest. What do you think, you know?
Okay,
like,
okay.
Let's see.
It's a learning experience.
I have noticed that a lot of the Western teams, it seems like the coach is always a rebound post. Like they throw ideas your way. It's like someone to talk to about Dota in general, like a sixth voice in the team, which is very useful. But again, Xiao8, not famously not that. RTK was another coach that was known for not doing that. Like he would watch all the replays, he'd tell them exactly where to ward, how the drafts would work. So it's a very different style, perhaps because Chinese teams were the first team to formalize when it came to coaches, right?
Absolutely.
I am interested though in Game 3, right? We talked about how PSG is a very adaptable team, right? Do you think you learned from this experience, Danog? Do you feel like you do the same thing what you've been doing, just no vessel on Spectre?
Pretty much, honestly. I think they're just, even that game, there were a few fights that they baited really effectively down on that bottom side with the ward inside the bottom lane. Jakira was being chased by 10 seconds, for 10 seconds, and then it was a complete turnaround. They got a really valuable kill onto, I want to say it was Yuragi.
Tiny and
Tiny.
+1.
Tiny plus...
Warlock, maybe?
Warlock, sure. But it was a kill where they really needed to be able to make that space because Tiny was still the main playmaker that they had at that time, although Yuragi filled a lot of that role. I mean, how many times did we see him just, like, run up into the enemy faces because he knew that his team was there to back him up a lot of the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, Midas as an item right now feels... It's in a better place than it's been in a long time. Like, you actually see more Midases successfully than... Yeah, maybe a few years, honestly. And you could also see the Midas paying off in the end for Yuragi, right? He was almost level 25 towards the end there, or like 30, I think.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Also,
do you think it's like...
No, the Midas paid off for everyone, because we get a third game. And that's what we're waiting for right now, which is why we're going to go to a small break, and then third game will be on your screen. So stay tuned and stay with us, please.
कुछ नहीं रे मैं तो जरा ऐसे
साढ़े सात हाँ लगेच येणार आहे अभिषेक मध्ये जाणार आहे हॉटेल फर्स्ट गेम में देखा क्या तुमने
नहीं मैं सो गया था भाई देखते देखते
अच्छा टावर के नीचे उसने किल मारा वो
Back with game 3, final game of the series. It's something that we've been seeing every single playoff game. This game is a decider, no second chances, no lower bracket. What team's gonna go home, what team will advance, we're gonna have to find out. What we're sure of though is not gonna see a Spirit Vessel. I think that's the one thing we got all clear. But now, Misery, when you have a game like this, I've noticed this a couple of times. So a team has a really good strategy, really good idea, and some small thing, whether it be like one pick or one item or one play, it makes the game go wrong, right? How do you make sure you stay on the right path afterwards? How do you keep that confidence in your strategy and your draft?
I mean, it depends so much on the specific scenario, right? Like, I felt like LTD actually played their chance pretty well considering the situation they were in. Dawnbreaker like tried his best to carry this game, right? And I think that they may have overreacted to this Husker. I think the Husker pick was probably a bit questionable considering what we saw, how the lanes played out, and you could see that. I said that the stuff about the tri-lane, but you could see both teams already had it in mind as well. Right. Like going into laning phase, Warlock was already angling towards top, and LTD was starting tri-lane, right? We even saw that like Smoke before the creep spawn to put this high ground ward. So they were definitely intending to do this, and if the game played out normally with Spectre buying normal items, it did look rough for OG early on. So it was a little bit the saving grace that the item choice, I think.
Sure. Danok, do you think they're gonna keep at the same script, same idea of like the stronger supports in lanes, trying to put OG on the back foot, being more the aggressive one?
Yeah, I mean I agree with Misery. I think they were in a really good spot. I was strongly favoring LGD in that draft. So if they're able to turn it around, I think they're in still a good spot to be able to take this. But just on the point of how do you respond to a game like that, I think it depends on the players' personalities as well, right? Some people are going to have like. I think it's a little less so with more experienced players, but some might need a stern talking to. Some might need like, a kick up the butt to say, what were you doing? But some might need to be the softer touch, the nurturing, saying, don't worry about it. You played well with what you did,
right.
That sort of stuff. So
right, you mean going on to game 3, yeah. I mean, I guess we're gonna see how the early game plays out, even how the draft plays out. I'm sure that OG gained a lot of confidence winning that game, and it's more a matter of how can LGD, like how do they decide to talk about this loss, because like we see this item choice and everything, but maybe they have an idea that it wasn't about that. Maybe it's about something else, right, for them.
Do you put any importance onto like if you could just glance over and see the enemy team standing there, body language and stuff like that, just seeing how they're feeling and then use that to hype your own team up, or do you stay very focused on your own guys?
I mean, you can do that. I think in this particular venue it can be a bit hard to see because the border is like pretty high, but I think that can be a tool to use, right? Yeah,
because it seems like OG are still very like they're on a high right now. Like they're playing very cohesive. They're all huddling around together. Whereas LGD, they're kind of off in pairs a little bit. You saw Y standing behind Ame there. Obviously, lane partners. Xiao Wei was just in his mind basically about okay, how are we going to be able to combat this? So maybe that's going to play a factor. But I really don't see these bands shaking up all that much. Timbersaw already gone.
Yeah, and it looks like LGD has first pick this time, right? I wonder who chooses what, because against us, OG took first pick, and now it seems to be, I think OG might be favoring second pick.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Just because it seems like their Viper first pick is like a little bit figured out, so it might be better to choose second pick as it's the most stable way to get a good draft. And we see LGD pick up Tiny here first pick.
LGD has seemingly been the team most comfortable with first pick though. Like they have strong 8th pick in general. Their draft starts to work with the synergy during the second phase as well. So I haven't seen too much issues with that either. I know second pick is favored, but
yeah, something a little bit different though. We get to see a lot of sustain, a lot of tankiness. I really like this from both teams. I think we're going to see a lot of like team fights that are going to come down to a couple of clutch moves rather than just an instant pickoff.
Yeah, a DK Phoenix is an opening that OG has played before. I think it's a very solid opening that can go, has a lot of team fight and instant stun, can go a lot of ways. I think it's good against Tiny in particular. Phoenix, like he can't really kill the egg. You have the Sunray to chop his high HP pool, and DP like a strong hero into DK, but into Phoenix not particularly. So I think it's pretty even. I think both heroes kind of like both teams have heroes that counter each other and also not. So I think very even opening here. DP probably going to be the offlaner here, right? And then they once again have this option of putting Tiny 4 and Tiny mid.
Yeah.
And for OG, it's like the DK has been Amar's hero in the past, but I've also seen them play it on BCM mid and going Midas on the DK.
And that's the thing with LGD, like we've been saying before, they have first pick, so they're not going to be able to round out the draft exactly how they want to set up these lanes. So I think if, for example, like you mentioned, BZM ends up being the one playing the DK, then you might want to lane the Death Prophet into him, but you probably don't have that choice, right? Because you have to reveal your hand first before OG does.
Yeah.
So it's a real bounty or benefit of having that second pick. By the way, it was OG that won the selection coin flip. So, yeah, they chose second pick, and then LGD chose Dire.
Okay.
We've even seen Tiger play the Dragon Knight as a position 4, right? So they've even got a little bit of extra flexibility on top of everything else.
I don't think we're going to see that here, though. I think that is very much a Viper-specific strategy. It makes your enemy guessing. I think here it's most likely going to be just a core hero.
And you've got a Phoenix to enable you, so you want to make sure you're getting the most out of that core. We've even seen a couple of DK position 1s, mostly in the Southeast Asian region. Probably not going to happen this time around, but yeah, any core position, it feels like this is going to be really strong.
That's true. Yeah. Bloodseeker actually like super good against Death Prophet. You don't really get ruptured, but it would actually be good for both teams because it's also a very potent hero against the Phoenix.
Yep.
But you see LDD ban it out, and then Arc Warden again is a hero that I mean,
flexed.
Yeah, I guess we played it once, but it's pretty much only OG who has had success with this hero. But it is really strong, and it's really annoying to deal with as the game progresses.
And it seems like you can't counter either because Arc Warden's so used to playing against counters. It's almost like a staple, right?
Yeah, it's also there's like the new build is also kind of hard to measure because it's like the Octarine core Aghanims, right? It's not the usual bots Arc Warden that like split pushes. It's like this weird kind of hybrid teamfight. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit hard to understand where this hero is at, so I can understand the ban.
What do you think LGD are leaning more towards with regards to their position 1? We've seen in response to Phoenix, and even to a lesser extent the DK, something like a Juggernaut, who you know you can just spin with a new Aghanim Shard with your Maelstrom, have a lot of attack speed and movement to be able to deal with both heroes. Lifestealer as well, kind of in the same boat. It's one of the big reasons, like with the Bloodseeker ban, the Aghanim Shard's effective. Open Wounds, kind of similar as well.
I think it's less likely than AX. I think Juggernaut and Ursa both look pretty good here for LGD. Ursa being super strong against both these heroes. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see either of those.
Yeah,
if they don't end up taking the carry though here in the second phase, I could see those heroes getting banned last phase. So
they're kind of forced into doing something like picking up their lane pairing. What's going to make them feel the most confident?
Banned out Io, huh?
Io,
interesting ban.
That is interesting.
Wonder what they are expecting the Io combo to be. Maybe Io Luna or something. I'm not sure. Don't see this hero that much.
Good amount of mixed damage, right? For the DK, obviously you need some magic to be able to deal with him. You can just hit the egg, have the glaives bouncing around. It's not too bad. I'm just trying to think what position 5 they might try and pair together with the Juggernaut if they do end up going down that round.
So well, the Bane, they've actually done these 3 heroes together 2 other times in this tournament.
Yes.
With the Bane here. No, it was. I don't know who it is against. I don't remember, but they had these 3 heroes, and there's also a combo that like Bane gives you the catch and the single target disable, strong laner, whereas Phoenix gives you the team fight and the damage, right? So it's a very good support duo combo.
And it kind of forces the Tiny into being a position 4, right? Because you've got that minus damage, that damage reduction component. Level 10 on the DK, you go into the talent that gives you an extra 55%. Level 1 Enfeeble, 45% additive. Tiny does 0 right-click damage. So that's something that they really tried to emphasize last time they played it, and it wouldn't surprise me to see if they did it again.
I think also you don't talk about this much about the Dragon Knight, but the fact that he gets at 10 he gets the damage reduction talent, and it's like you just mentioned, like that's a really big factor of Dragon Knight.
It's such a strong timing, right? You've got obviously the Elder Dragon form to be able to push. If they try and respond to it, you just turn around and say, well, you probably don't have BKBs. You have no way of getting rid of Breathe Fire or Enfeeble. Do you think LGD might consider going something that has a Dispel component just to make sure that isn't going to be as big of a factor?
I mean something like Abaddon actually looks really powerful here for LGD now that you mention it. So I would not be surprised to see Abaddon plus something.
Abba plus Jug, just because you can be a Manta builder as well. I mean, I know it's a little awkward doing 2 melee heroes.
Yeah, I mean it could work, but it's a Warlock Monkey. All right.
Okay.
It's a strong lane, good against the DK if it is going to be a position 3. But now, of course, like we were saying, there's nothing stopping them putting the DK mid. I suppose they could flex the DP, but yeah.
No, I think it's a nice two picks in a sense that you know you're still kind of flexing the Tiny and the Monkey King. The Monkey can be 4, Tiny can be mid, Monkey can be carry. So you leave OG guessing a little bit. So I like that, but I think the Warlock matches the team fight, which is nice. In a way, it's good against Bane too, because you can cancel Fiend Script. Secures the safe lane. It's just a good hero in a lot of ways. Although I do think the Abaddon would have been really strong in this spot. Like I think I would have liked that more.
When do you think this Monkey King, if it is going to be played as a position 1, would be looking to pick up the BKB? Like second item, really try and get super aggressive and consistently fight into the relatively long cooldowns that OG has?
Yeah, I guess the Monkey King build. Yeah, I think. We've seen different builds. I think this is also why this hero is coming back a bit as a carrier, is because you can build it multiple ways, right? You can do the Echo Saber or even the Fusel Blade, like we've seen Miracle do.
Yep.
Or you can build like the Battle Fury. You can even buy like Desolator. You can even buy the Midas. So it has a lot of ways to build. And I think right now you might not know exactly what he's gonna buy. You're gonna have to wait and see how greedy does OG get, right? If they go really greedy, then you can probably. Well, then you have two ways. You can try to punish it with the Echo Saber or whatever, or you can try to out-greed it with the Battle Fury. Potentially the Vessel.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah, that's always a great idea.
No Vessel Monkey King, please.
The Bat Rider, though, I'm interested in.
Yes.
Is this a Bat Rider mid that we're looking at, or perhaps?
Yeah. No, it's definitely
mid.
It's definitely mid. I don't see Amar playing this hero. I think Bat Rider is kind of a weird hero right now. There's so often where Bat Rider looks like an amazing pick, like here as well. Traditionally, Bat Rider is super strong against Monkey King. Death Prophet, they have no way of removing Napalm, they have no way of cancelling Lasso. But sometimes this hero can be a bit of a debate because the item build is very slow. The travels into BKB, it's actually a lot of gold before you're online. Lasso has a very long cooldown. Firefly has a pretty long cooldown too, so this hero can be very hard to actually play, I think. But I'm interested to see somebody like BCM, like rank 1 player play this hero, because it is it can be a debate sometimes.
I'm curious because LGD has been the team that's been banning Bat Rider the most. They've actually had, especially as last phase, they always ban the Bat Rider, or you tend to. Why do you think they are specifically afraid of Bat Rider?
I think it's a good hero at kind of disrupting the tempo a little bit, going for those one-on-one pickoffs. It's a pretty strong laner as well, and I still feel like the way to beat LGD is to come out on top in that laning stage, prevent Arme to be able to transition into being able to farm. What I'm looking at now with OG as well is I feel like DK is their only tower push, so I'm going to want to see something really strong for Yuragi also to be able to not only have a good one-to-one core matchup against these really tanky position 1 heroes, core heroes that you've got on LGD, but also how you're going to enable that to progress into the next parts of the map, because I feel like Phoenix, if you give Tiger the potential to scale, he is a fantastic Phoenix player. So many times I see him as having the same net worth as the enemy offlaner.
But I think OG's pick is a very much, they obviously have heroes in mind right now, but I think that it's dependent on what LDD picks as well, right? They do have the last pick, they want to counter that as hard as they can. And right now, I'm looking at something like Puck. Can be a good hero for LDD right now. It's pretty good against Bat Rider traditionally. You don't really suffer against him in lane. You can always coil him, pre-BKB. Maybe after the Aghanims changed, so before the Aghanims stun through BKB, it doesn't anymore, so that's a little bit nerf in that particular matchup, but...
Do you think you could even Storm Spirit on LGD's side right now? It's one of those heroes that doesn't hate going against the Bat Rider, right? Because you just buy a stick, you're going to be spamming out your remnants, and it's a great way of being able to get in onto those backlines to deal with the Phoenix and the Bane. Yeah,
I could see that working. Storm Spirit is also kind of a hero that's... It's not really. I don't think people really know how strong this hero is, right? After the nerfs and everything, we've seen it being played a couple of times, but it looks strong, when it's played.
In the right game, it certainly is formidable. But no Puck going to be coming out. But again, I still feel like it's a pretty good Storm game right now.
Okay. Most of the other Spirit Bros don't feel great because the Bat Rider kind of crushes those lanes.
Beastmaster. Okay, so mid DP.
He was not expecting that.
Yeah. No, that's actually in a way a really cool pick, because this hero is also really good against Bat Rider in the game. It's really good against Bane in lane. You get the aura against the Phoenix egg, right? And
they got a ton of vision, right?
Maybe they're even flexing the DP to 4 potentially on Sync Q and having the potential of putting Tiny mid. I'm not sure, but the option, it's definitely something that they could consider.
Sorry, just can't get over that not like this from Amar coming through. I mean, also the Bane, the Phoenix, pretty terrible at dealing with like split push and a lot of these sorts of things.
Yeah.
Right? Like
This pick is very good, I think.
You just
actually
don't clear out waves at all, and you have to commit so much as a Bat Rider. Like you have to commit your body to be able to do it. And you know, with the Hawk, with potentially Monkey King just dancing around the trees, you're gonna find him out. You're gonna be able to pick him off. So yeah, really solid pick. And well, PA, one of the stronger heroes into the Beastmaster with being able to clear out the boars, at least in the laning stage. But yeah, really solid, even from the first pick, being able to get that Beastmaster at the very end of the draft.
There's a lot of strength to the PA, right? Like you said, the Beastmaster also bursts down DP. Usually that's what she's weak to. At one point, that's going to be an issue. But PA versus Monkey King, that can be an issue sometimes, right? The extra armor, PA jumps into the ring. PA does not get out of the ring.
It's a little challenging, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking as well, like we were always talking about the attack speed as well. So that's something else that Beastmaster is going to be providing for dealing with the egg, just providing that inner beast aura, 40 extra attack speed. Suddenly, even these heroes that don't normally deal with it can actually contribute towards the team fight.
I'm very excited to see this game 3. Only one of these teams will remain. And I really wish we could just keep on watching this best of 3 over and over and over again. But unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. So let's go to the final game with Gareth and Lacoste.
Yeah, we all wish for Groundhog Day to be Dota 2 style, just repeating, TI finals over and over again. But one game separates these two teams from the grand finals, Lacoste, with a hefty prize pool waiting for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at both of these drafts, they wanted to make a little bit of more change in the end. It feels like they, I'm talking about PSG LGD, that they needed to have a bit more attack speed to be able to deal with the Phoenix egg. Because like Monkey King's job is not to go inside the fight and just deal with the egg. Also, they picked Monkey into Phoenix. A lot of the times it's the other way around, where you want to match up the team fight that they have and like drop that Phoenix ulti inside the Wukong command as well, potentially. They have good ways of protecting the egg this time around. We're talking about the Dragonite stun, 2 BKB piercing abilities with Lasso and Fiend's Grip, so I feel like it's a pretty good Phoenix game when we talk about that one. In terms of the laning stage, Monkey plus Warlock, they shifted Dead Prophet to the mid lane. Nothing to say against Batrider from BZM. Batrider does consume a lot of mana. Like he needs to get stuff done early on. Looking at potential rotations, that could be rotation from Taiga and extra slow with the dive on Dead Prophet. They might be able to burst her down. I want to see like how this matchup is going to work out in the end.
Misha trying to set up on Jin-Q. Y takes the Nightmare off him, so gets the Tiny out of danger. And Nothing to Say has already scouted up onto Radiant High Ground, and I think they've got a very good idea of where this OG Observer Ward is. They were pinging out where it could potentially be. In fact, OG are the ones to place a sentry down, expecting the opposite. The Dire Ward is not there. They will just move back around to get the bounty runes. LGD.
Oh, Misha, he used 2 Nightmares already. This is one of the most expensive spells, level 1 in the game, 165 mana.
It's very expensive. He's got 2 mangoes left, but limited resources going into laning stage as he gets his high ground ward up there. So we watch Faith Bian and Jin-Q down bottom. Beastmaster Tiny against a PA Bane. And Misha, his main job here is going to be tank spells for Yuragi. Get that farm rate going as quickly as you can. Well, the potential for Faith Bian and Jin-Q here to get kills pretty high once they get a couple of levels under their belt.
I love Tiny Fours who start with the 3 grab, and Misha using a Nightmare trying to harass Jin-Q not very efficiently here. I would prefer if this is a brain sap, because there's going to be a lot of harassment. He needs to get in, soak up some of the damage, as you mentioned. With the Nightmare, he's not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Has a lot of tangos, though. He started with 9 tangos, going to be sharing tangos to Phantom Assassin, who does have a healing salve, going for Ring of Health as the first item. This is one of those things where you can change things around, especially if you get a First Blood on Phantom Assassin, then Orb of Corrosion or just Orb of Venom feels nice. But it does delay your Battle Fury timing.
Oh, 20 HP.
He's gonna go for it.
He's diving. Cutting into the trees, Jin-Q in behind tier 1, but realizes that Misha has got himself out of reach. And up top, Tiger near death as well, as Y follows him back. Has the level 1 Fatal Bond to clear out creep wave, and of course do damage back to the DK. And peeking into the mid lane, BZM currently 8-2. a dead even lane with a DP and the Batrider sharing farm.
I'm mostly looking at this bottom lane. Phantom Assassin 5 CS, Beastmaster on 7, has a point in a boar. I don't think Phantom Assassin deals that well, especially when paired up with Bane. Once you get the level 3, we're talking about the boars versus Phantom Assassin matchup, then it's gonna get a little bit more difficult because they have a lot of HP on those boars, and Fate Beyond is gonna put another point in it once he reaches level 3.
X, then you need a brain sap and a dagger and a jump as well. Oh, fatal bonds, Tiger. Jingu stacks as well, but it's the bonds that will take him down. First blood for White. It's not looking good for OG in these side lanes. Jingu battling with Misha as well. And like you said, Faith Beyond just having a completely free time down here under no pressure whatsoever. Even has the magic stick. Both of them, in fact, to deal with that dagger and the damage. Has nothing to say. Oh, TP's back to his tier 1. Firefly with a napalm on him, it's a scary prospect.
It is, nothing to say, adjusting his item build, going for the magic wand and boots of speed, then going for bottle. We see a rotation.
Tiger's in, diving forward. Flame break, pushing, nothing to say back, and a sticky napalm charge.
That's
a big one, good rotation from Tiger, understanding that if they kill Dead Prophet, she will need to walk back to the lane. And also, he's going for the rune. BZM wants to pick up a 3-minute bounty rune.
Over on the Dire side, stealing it away from LGD. Yuragi and Misha turned on by Faith Beyond. Nightmare is there, but the Bane just getting tagged up by the axes of the Beastmaster, and it looks like Jingu is all right as Yuragi. The Nightmare put back on him.
Also, the thing about Beastmaster against Phantom Assassin matchup is if you're trying to go for the boars, if you try to kill him, that means you're committing with your daggers, which is free mana for the enemy team, especially heroes who do consume a lot of mana in the laning stage, like Beastmaster and this Tiny.
And it also means it's less damage on your opponents, right? You're not trading regen with them, you're giving them regen. Wise doing a pretty good job here keeping Amar at bay, but now he's at level 3.
1.3k gold already spent by Bane for consumables.
DK stunning back on the monkey, halting their progress forwards. Jingu very low, pops a fairy fire very early, avalanche there on the 2. Faith Beyond will keep on whacking the PA as they try to bring Yuragi down, but it's OG that claim the kill first. Body blocks Misha, doesn't quite get in front of Faith Beyond well enough. Oh, the blur, the evasion, but the kill is there for the Beastmaster in the end.
Fate Beyond Beastmaster, this was always something that teams were afraid of. He's level 5.5, 4 minutes at 40 seconds, so it's gonna be very difficult. We're talking about the Helm of the Dominator 5-6 minutes into the game.
Yeah.
And their heroes, they don't deal well with the creeps. Like, maybe Batrider can kill it, but he needs to commit with the Firefly. So that's going to be very difficult. Allowing Fate Beyond to off to a good start might be a bit too tricky. And now we see these 2 boards that he has in the lane. They can't deal with it. Misha constantly low on mana.
Yeah, so is that the reason Yuragi here, you know, Ring of Health, with a Band of Elven Skin? You mentioned the Orb of Corrosion. It can be a little bit weird,
you can't
right?
afford to go for Orb of Corrosion. You can get it on Phantom Assassin
if you're winning.
Yes, if you're like off to a really good start and then you're snowballing. Otherwise, it's a 1,000 gold commitment delaying your Battle Fury. So most of the time, you don't want to go for it. And
it doesn't help you juggle really either. You need a bit of regen. You need more damage. Orb of Corrosion, more of a laning item. As wide, tracked back by Tiger's Phoenix. He's got Shadow Word and he'll be under tier 1 soon. Gets through the damage over time. They are there. They're eyeing up this DP mid though. Look at Misha arriving as well. Both supports coming in towards mid, and LGD looking to try and defend the DP as best they can.
Batrider just hit level 7, has 1 level advantage on Dead Prophet, saving a point for potential lasso play.
With everyone in the mid lane, it leaves these side lanes a little more open. Wise. Got clarity himself, not going to traverse back to base just yet. BZM making the move bottom, jump in from Yuragi, flame break, pushes Faith Beyond back. Doesn't get the roar out, so the lasso is going to stun him up, but finally, Stuns back into them.
Oh,
They didn't get the finish. Jinkyu, and nothing to say now, looking to play aggressively. But it feels like a bit of a failed rotation from the Death Prophet.
Getting that roar off, not enough control. Had 10 stick charges, gets to roar, extra move speed, gets out of the trouble, and has a full helm coming next to him. Nothing to say. Now with the exorcism, this is a dead tower because they used everything. They used Batrider, Phantom Assassin is pushed out of the lane. Bane doesn't provide you with much.
Oh, you're right. They've got Catapult Wave there. Hit away at that tower. He's not using Exo.
Still holding on to Exo. I think that's pretty smart because they can skip the wave, kill the tower, and potentially use that Exo to go to the mid lane. And Beastmaster will take over the bottom.
That's very clever. They'll glyph it up, OG, but Faith Bian arrives back here. Jinkyu looks like he's gonna TP back across with Y to defend the mid lane as well. So a free tier 1 objective claimed by LGD very early on.
This is what you call objective-based gaming, right?
It absolutely is. I've lost sight of the Monkey King for a little bit now. Arme has dipped into the jungle.
Arme going for a different item build, what we usually see when he plays Monkey King. Seems like Battle Fury would be a bit too slow, and he's thinking about, Dragonite has a high armor. I need that extra magic damage. I'll hold that thought.
Man, they toss the bat into the monkey. I don't know if Arme's going to be happy about that. Goes for the TP, doesn't get cancelled. Now nothing to say with the XO, but the Nightmare holds him back, transferred to Tiny, and the DP will kill off Tiger. BZM fireflies away from these LGD heroes, and he will get out of the reach of Faith Bian, who was sliding into that aggressive position. But straight onto the tier 1.
Pretty similar to what happened in game 1, where they brought extra people. Faith Bian was moving to the mid lane with Nature's Prophet, and now doing the same thing. Exo still up and running. This is going to be a tower, Helm of the Dominator. We mentioned it, like they don't have heroes that deal well with it, so 2 towers already gone. And to go back to my point about Ame's itemization, Maelstrom pierces through evasion every single time it procs, so like double the value. Like against Dragonite, high armor. Amar on the top lane didn't talk about him, doing Amar stuff, farming up until he reaches a critical point. Look at the item build, thinking about going that Octarine, like Ether Lens, Manta style type of a build. Oh,
nice deny.
Jinkyu gets the deny.
Amar can't stun him as the TP's out. And BZM very focused on clearing out the stacks that OG have made for themselves in their own triangle, so a lot of money will be coming in towards the Bat Rider there. Phoenix and the Bat making 7 stacks between them. Ancients and that large camp, so a nice influx of money there will get him the boots of travel, and 3 neutral items, 4 neutral items, every neutral item for the Bat Rider.
Let's see, does he want to use Trusty Shovel, dig stuff out? Way too many items, not gonna try to refill his bottle.
So many options. DP. Mainly lane creeps, about 2,000. Buildings, of course, picking up. Neutral's one of the main focuses from the Bat there. But OG trying to carve themselves a bit of the map. Top lane Amar will sit there after that tier 1's down, and PA can start that kind of meandering move up towards the triangle and that top lane. Now that the Bat Rider has had his piece of the pie, got his bots.
They might have been scouted by the Hawk.
A smoke pop. Level 5Y doesn't have the golem, but upheaval, slowing Bat Rider down to a crawl.
Pretending that he's level 6, being there, bought the tome.
The threat of the non-existent golem.
I mean, you can check the levels, but yeah, you might be afraid that he might use the courier, bring the tome, turn the fight around. Y is gonna bring the tome, so he's gonna be level 6 after using it. 2 supports on OG also need to get level 6. Both of those very level dependent.
They're just planting themselves, stopping any movement into that bot jungle, while Jinkyu found by the 3 of OG. BZM the one to take the final hit. As Yuragi and Tiger holding onto that mid lane, but you can feel this coming, the wave of pressure, it's almost ready to break. Nothing to say, Y and Faith Bian.
This sentry near tier 2 tower on the mid lane, this is something that PSG LGD, that they have been abusing quite a lot, planting Observer Ward behind the tower and also keeping it for a little later. So this sentry ward seems like OG already made an adjustment.
Yeah.
Because it does provide you with a lot of like vision in terms of whether they want to smoke, who's showing on the lanes, and also does allow you to play and go for easy pickoffs.
Yeah, it sees the Hawks as well. Beastmaster giving the vision, sending Hawks all over the place. We can see they're sitting just on the triangle. Scouts BZM. That's what LGD want to angle towards. Q from the south side. The rest of them swarming up the ramp. Staircase. And Jinkyu will toss back the Bane. Exorcism comes out of nothing to say. And yeah, they want to clear through this triangle and make sure they steal away gold from OG. And they don't want to fight. OG want to keep this PA safely farming back in these deeper pockets, hidden away from LGD. So for quite some time going to be without one of their heroes. You know, a lot of 4v5 fights incoming.
This is a big chunk of gold for PSG LGD. Commitment in terms of using EXO. Will not have it for 2 minutes, but yeah, big stacks being taken.
Pushes the DP closer and closer to this BKB rush. Treads Wand, of course, has the bottle, the Windlace, a few little stopgap items there to build up towards that massive team fight ability with the BKB. Monkey King doing a similar thing, right? You mentioned that Maelstrom. There's the timing on it. 46 seconds faster than the patch fastest. That's not average, that is fastest.
That actually is the fastest. It says new record.
I should read the top thing first.
Yeah, absolutely, because this is a farming tool for Monkey King. And also, like when I talk about the carry to carry, how they match up against each other. Monkey King having extra armor. Oh, this is a big pick-off if they can get it.
Can they start it off? No, Misha too far away. And the smoke from the rest of LGD. Oh, they see Tiger. Nice avalanche. Stops him mid-dive. The toss is there and a kill on the Phoenix. A nice pick by LGD. Unfortunately, not much they can do in terms of objectives bottom mid. They've already got the towers, but they'll put them in good stead. So maybe get some of these wards replaced as they were dewarded by this mass amount of sentries from OG. Arme looking to solo BZM with the Wukongs and Boundless, dropping him to below half.
A bit difficult. They needed to use Rock inside Wukongs to be able to get that kill. Extra lockdown, couple of hits from the Golem, but why a bit too far away. And to go back to like carry to carry, like Ame is gonna be fight ready in the next 2-3 minutes, while Phantom Assassin still needs to farm up Battle Fury into BKB. And look at where Ame was. This is his pattern on the top lane, and now switching back to bottom lane after Beastmaster took the tower.
Yeah, it's primarily lane creeps, right? Arme has been safe. No real threat from him. He's been in the lane while we saw that PA get kicked out of her bot lane quite early and had to move into that jungle. A massive gap, right? 900 gold difference in the lane creeps. Monkey King, of course, having a lot of farm on the neutrals and ancients. He's 7.4k. Having a perfect game so far. Jinkyu getting jumped.
He stunned the creep, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, Amar, characteristic mistake, getting tossed around inside the upheaval. Roar comes out from Faith Beyond as they want to try and focus the Bane at the same time. Flame Break and the Nightmare. Golem dropped. Kill off Amar. Why? Not messing around, just the big old cooldown ulti. Straight for that Dragon Knight. They can help them push, of course.
I think they're going to go rogue with it, because they have Golem to tank it, they have Exo running, and teamfight from OG is pretty mediocre at the moment. Like, they have Phoenix Egg, they have Fiend's Grip, they haven't used those abilities since they got it. So 5 minutes without 2 supports being able to use their ultis, and they're not going to contest this.
Yeah, and if you have one hero dead, we know that the PA doesn't want to join just yet. So no. OG is still, you know, a 3v5 in effect. And an easy Roshan for LGD, grabbed up by Arme, and you were saying he's going to be fight ready soon. This makes him even more bold to be able to jump in to these team fights, use that Wukongs aggressively.
Next Exorcism, it's going to be level 2, so that means 16 spirits instead of 8. And you'll also have Monkey King with Aegis and the BKB, so their timing is going to be pretty big. You're also going to have BKB on Dead Prophet, so they're going to feel very comfortable coming into the fight. Q, the bounce back with the Tumblr's toy, actually manages to get out of trouble.
Upheaval's so good against heroes like Bat Rider.
Oh yes, well, this is why is maxing it out. He's an experienced Warlock player, one of the best ones. Put only 2 points in the Shadow Word, maxed out Upheaval, and now going for the Fatal Bonds.
And Bat Rider, one of those heroes that wants to keep chasing people. You can't do that when you're turned into a slug. Trying to play top now with Amar showing on the wave. BZM being a little bit sneakier, but there is dire vision up there that will spot their moves. LGD going to use that information, come down and farm very efficiently through mid down towards bottom lane. They are protecting Arme by having their bodies in this bottom jungle, very forward. So if OG wanted to smoke and try and catch the Monkey King, who would be one of their primary targets, you know, even though he has Aegis, you could think about killing him twice with Grip and Lasso. You've got to break through the barrier of why Faithbian and Jinkyu up front.
Team fights are going to be very difficult for OG because we're talking about Exo, Beastmaster Roar, vision provided from the Hawk, so Bane doesn't get to play the game. You know that he's going to get stunned. Initiation from the Batrider also going to be very limited. We're talking about Boots of Travel, BKB, no Blink Dagger yet. Jinkyu thinking about going in. This Tumbler's toy, a lot of value. Did manage to get a couple of early kills with it.
I love the noise it makes as well, a little spring boing. Wonderful sound effects from the Tumbler's toy. Well, there's the tier 2 unlocking the outpost for LGD. They're all grouped up as if they want to smoke. Looks like a hard hit in towards the triangle. I see Uragi, the Phantom Assassin, not the one they're going for though. Tossing Misha around, focusing the Bane rather. Let Uragi get out of there.
A bit premature exorcism there. Maybe they thought they're gonna commit. I don't see any vision. They maybe caught Batrider coming in from the outpost, and yeah, they're pinging it out. Because there's not gonna be anything done with this Exo. We'll need to wait 2 minutes. Looking at the items on side of PSG LGD, loving the Lincoln Sphere. On Monkey King, you're playing into Bane, instant stun from a Dragon Knight, Lasso as well. And also nothing to say. Getting some extra armor, going for that Lotus Orb. Like just a casual plate mail against Phantom Assassin and then...
He's jumped the Tiny, but Arme with the Boundless and the Wukong, they're in on Tiger, dive away. He's got the Supernova to come into play. They've killed off Jinkyu, and Arme is on the run with his BKB up. They need to bail away from that egg as Tiger dives in again. Back by Amar, focusing nothing to say. The Death Prophet cleaved through by the PA and Misha's Bane as OG. They'll take the Monkey's Aegis. Y and Faithbian were far too distant from this fight. They need to protect the Monkey King. He's gripped up and there's no saving him. Boundless Strike won't do a damn thing, and the Monkey King, he's dropped. They'll turn on the PA, the Dragon whacking into Uragi, but he jumps across to the right. OG, they'll lose their carry, but they get so much out of this trade. Jinkyu with the Avatos. They want Tiger, but another dive away. Keeps himself healed and topped up, while Y and Jinkyu are trapped down in this bottom jungle now. They don't belong here.
Jinkyu thinking about going in one more time. Has combo ready. We'll scout him out.
He wants Tiger and he'll get him. He's faithful bonded, so these blinks are being cancelled out. They can't make any further jumps. Need to TP home.
Y was not in vicinity to be able to drop the rock immediately. Also, a bit of a mistake there from Ame, using a BKB before Aegis ran out, so he respawns, doesn't have anything, and they slow him down. A couple of sticky palm charges, bounced him back, and yeah, control coming out from the Dragon Knight. There was no Exo in that fight, because I mentioned it, like a bit premature usage there. And they got the kill on Bane only, so yeah, let's see that fight one more time. A good egg coming out from Taiga where no one wanted to commit. Like, they need a Beastmaster to be close, and then maybe Monkey can go and help out. Otherwise,
hello, Game Stylus. Kya bolo, bhai?
Yeah, a really good initiation from OG. You know, finding the Tiny first, making sure that LGD aren't the ones getting the jump. Perfect execution gives them that chance to take the Aegis and momentum and the wind out of the wings of LGD. But we will have some big team fight ultis coming up. You know, Roar is ready, Exo's ready. They won't have the Golem, but Fatal Bonds might be enough. Oh, so quick.
Nicely done. Good reaction. Amar was changing his side well, thinking whether he needs more staff. Gonna go for Ether Lens. Bigger cast range on the Dragon Tail. And yeah, well, you turn that into on green core, you know that Amar, he loves to play greedy, he loves to play for the late game. Then you get Manta, Octarine, Aghanim Scepter. Still, it's a lot of time. We're talking about 40, 45 minutes into the game. But once you get to that build, it's
you're looking for the synchronization with PA a little bit later on. She'll have BKB in about 1,000 gold. But even after that, she's got a lot of items to check off her list. And Amar can keep on scaling with her. That makes sense when you've got Batrider, of course, that more magic damage, utility-focused hero that Amar wants to be a secondary core alongside the Phantom Assassin. Jin-Q lands the avalanche, gets the toss in towards the dragon. Blur and Phantom strike away thanks to Misha, and they roar the bait. Uragi might be able to get out of danger here as they do use Exo. Misha being taken down by the ghost. There we go, another combo. The toss back not coming. He's running back and forth. Uragi, he's got TP, but there's really no way out of this, is there? Jin-Q has his number, surrounded by LGD as they come back into the mid lane. Amar, he's just didn't even need a stun to stop him from TPing home.
Yeah, this is the fight that I kind of expected the PSG LGD to go for, where like the previous execution was not as
so close.
Ame, in the end, going for Mjolnir. There's going to be a lot of procs. We're talking about Shard from Dragonite and also Batrider Firefly. So you know that that's going to be procking. Another record broken by Ame.
New record!
I mean, he did broke a record in the previous game with the Spirit Vessel purchase in the game 2. That didn't end up too well.
Is that a good record to break? I don't know.
This one is. This one feels much better.
Spot on timing from him. Oh yes, fantasy points. Warlock. My favorite hero, Warlock. He's been planting a lot of wards, so he's up at 16.8. Now Earth down at 4.6, but a big difference between the Dire supports and the Radiant ones. You know, Tiger, yes, 6.7, but you look at this Bane and he's incredibly poor. And this comes down to, like you were saying 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, that they've not been able to really latch onto people with these smoke ganks, the grips, the nightmare setups, which we've seen from OG throughout this tournament. You know, Misha's Bane has been flawless. Maybe this smoke will work out for them, though. They want to get something done. Smoking up, expecting LGD to be around this triangle and maybe on a warding mission, but there's no one here. They're all sat around mid lane, looking to bunker down, defend tier 1. Keep Arme farming around the Ancients as they stack them up.
Batrider does have a Blink Dagger, so initiation's going to be much easier. There's going to be a follow-up onto Dragonite stun, potentially. Lotus Orb done on Nothing to Say, and the Haste Rune.
He's using it
this is the best
well.
item that they can get in this game. We're talking about Batrider, Dragonite stun, Bane Fiend's Grip. It's going to be very difficult, especially if they prematurely use it, as you mentioned.
LGD now their turn to smoke. I mean, speaking of prematurely, Exo used up, but the jump in from Jin-Q, finding the catch, the avalanche toss on DK, as he's burst down quickly by that percentage base down to the Spirit Siphon.
And Roche is up. Let's see if Y's gonna scout it out. Yes, he will. Dragonite has no buyback. I don't know if they can go and take a fight, because this Roshan drops so quickly. We're talking about the Beastmaster. Exorcism still running for another 15 seconds.
Yeah, the Ancient Black Dragon there helping out as well. Second Roche going LGD's way. And we're still waiting really to see what kind of impact Uragi can have on this Phantom Assassin. Definitely one of those kind of ninja heroes, right, that can come out 25, 30 minutes into the game and suddenly blow up a support, get that momentum going, get a couple of big items. So far it's been very quiet from the PA, only 3.6k damage dealt. Yeah, the lowest in the game.
Needs more items, definitely. We're talking about Deso, potentially getting a shard to even have more, then getting a basher. It's a bit of a difficult game. Uragi still needs to be able to get some farm. The rest of the team will need to protect him.
But you never know when that sleeper hero is going to strike. Amar, he gets on top of Tiny. He's got Lotus Orb on him. Avalanche in, and Arme straight towards the Phoenix. Nice sleep, you're right. And in we come with a golden drop. Tiger buys back straight off the bat as the Wukong zones them away. OG in full retreat mode with Amar still stuck in the middle of an awful lot of damage.
Oh, Hawk stun.
Yeah, they tried to catch Misha. BZM on the run. Bane, no way out of there, and Nothing to Say picks up a double kill.
one thing that PSG does extremely well is playing around their heroes, just understanding who needs to stand where, not overlapping any of their abilities, and also protecting each other. Instant Lotus Orb from Nothing to Say after Dragon Knight stun, and yeah, they will go for the high ground. Still need to respect Lasso a little bit.
Oh, hello. Yeah, they know there's no BKB, don't they? PA dead. The Roar of the Courier. Well, he made sure it died. Lasso back, the drag Tiny in towards tier 4s. The Phoenix Sun Rain down Jin Q. But the tier 3's dead and the racks are wide open. So LGD just looking for this structural damage. Boundless Strike off the mark, and they've got Lotus in onto Arme as well. Tiger, just a dive and a spam of the Fiery Spirit.
They could have potentially went for another tier 3 tower if that Roar connects on Batrider. They definitely get a kill. They have enough physical damage to be able to bring him down and maybe transition. A little bit of uncharacteristic mistake there from Fate Beyond.
You say mistake? He says the Courier's dead for a long time.
Can we see that again? Maybe there was something on the Courier that I'm not aware of.
That's what I'm curious about as well. Quickening Charm grabbed up by the DP.
Just looking at the core items that they have queued up.
And whose was it?
It was Phantom Assassin's Courier.
Okay,
so she's going for Deso anyway.
I don't think there was anything on it. Yeah. Because we have the beautiful little tooltip from JJ that shows items that are on the Courier. It's not there, so there was nothing on it. See there we go. Look, there's a buckler on the little donkey somewhere else for the Beastmaster. Pinging out the high ground, wanting to keep the wards going. Playing down in this bottom jungle, and man, we see this move time and time again. You know, we know a lot of teams like to smoke from their tier 2s, but LG love to smoke from the enemy high ground ward in their jungle and make the jump and force the BKB. BZM has to play defensively, while we've got Monkey King whacking away at towers, forcing the glyph out of OG. For this high ground.
Monkey, and he does have Wukongs plus Aegis for another minute and a half. Exo still running.
Yeah.
The Spirit Vessels reducing the healing. A lot of AoE damage. Good stun.
Jinkyu's in. The 3-man silence as well. Nothing to say. Diving in the lasso on the DP, but she is BKB. They put her in the fountain. What can they do against her? A lot of damage with the DK stun. They'll find nothing to say here with Uragi's jump. But in the meanwhile, it was all smoke and mirrors. A distraction ploy by LGD to bring the barracks down.
Yeah, no premature Lotus Orb this time around, but it gets the job done. They trade Nothing to Say for 2 barracks, 1 melee, 1 range. Another Lotus Orb on Tiny.
And OG, they need something big here to break the rhythm of this game. Uragi, they're there with Tiger, but the Monkey King hits in towards him. They've got the Roar back on the PA as well, and an avalanche toss landing onto Amar and BZM. They've taken out Tiger, and Jin Q has fallen too, but the PA is focused by this Monkey King.
Monkey with full Scotty and Mjolnir has enough damage, and if they are controlling supports, Batrider, he knew that there was no lasso, so he could go in and another Hawk stun.
Yeah, just a couple more hits and I'll kill off Misha. Assault Cuirass delivered out
Another record. Dispatch, Fate Beyond popping off on his Beastmaster. We're talking about 29 minutes Assault Cuirass.
Yeah, it's all or nothing now for OG. 2 heroes dead without.
Ayo, meri billi.
Silent stop is buyback is done. It's going to turn into a dieback as Arme unleashes on him. BKB's up, so the Dragon Knight can't stun him.
Aegis just expired. They need to play against megacreeps. This is it. We might be, thinking about getting a Divine Rapier for Phantom Assassin.
GG!
Yeah, they're gonna call it.
There is no way back.
I was thinking, Gary, maybe
Mantle
10 minutes
Mantle, where's the Mantle? Someone pinged a Mantle of Intelligence somewhere. Who's doing it?
There it is. Someone
dropped it.
Yeah, good performance from PSG LGD in this game 3. All the lanes, like the lane setup that they had, Monkey King plus Warlock did manage to win the lane, completely shutting down Warlock. Those couple of early rotations from Jin Q as well. Beastmaster breaking a couple of records.
Yeah, Monkey King as well. I mean, OG, great performance to kind of come back.
चलो भाई इसी के साथ मैं भी बड़ा अपना स्ट्रीम भी बंद करता हूँ. बाहर जाना है जरा.
Absolutely. In a game where things go poorly, there's always a way back for them, but when they are up
कल आ जाए हीरो 2-0
नहीं अभी टीम सीक्रेट वो देखने का है ना मैच
कब है
अभी इसके बाद अभी चालू ही होगा मैं जरा बिल्ली का खाना लेने जाना है इसलिए बंद कर रहा हूँ
ठीक है चले
but they're also setting up for these aggressive smokes when they play forward towards the base.
Yeah, very clean execution overall. Roshan taking